And we are live. Hello, everybody.
Hey, everybody.
This is Andrew of the famous Andrew and Gnomes Trucking Express.
Well,
that must be his gnomes calling.
Yeah. I forgot to put it on, but I shouldn't say vibrate, but.
So, what do you want to talk about first? I want to hear about the Bigfoot convention that you went to in Nebraska.
Oh, the one where we had the 6 tornadoes that hit one day. That was pretty wild. I got to meet a bunch of great people. I met the legend of Boggy Creek Monster from 1972, Keith Crabtree. Very tall guy. He's a lot older now, but he's still 6'5", and there is a picture of me and him standing next together.
6'5", wow.
Yeah, he was in Montana with Duke Sullivan and a couple other people years ago, and a Bigfoot snuck up so close that he tickled his foot from the back of his pickup.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, Duke lives up there in Montana, so his whole area is just wide range.
What part of Montana? Must be like northwestern Montana?
He's somewhere up there. He's up there on the east side, but I can't remember where.
Oh, on the east side? Okay.
East northern side, up a little further up.
Hi, Sandy.
I got to see Duke talk about Bigfoot, and he showed a video Saturday towards the end of everything. There was people from Canada there. Blaine Tyler and his wife Lisa. Christian McLeod, the cryptid guru guy, was there. Jim Myers, trying to think of his name, Robert Kreider was there, and Dave Scott, who was a day behind because of weather. He tried to fly in from Dallas, and they wound up having 3 rejected turnarounds because of the tornado weather. He finally came in late Friday night and was there Saturday, so I got a picture with him and an autographed spaced out radio poster. Me and him go way back, as you and I have too, from King Frostmare.
Yeah.
And
been a couple of years.
And Mojo and a bunch of others too. So I'm not reading chat, so I'm just looking at the screen. Yeah, it was a fun time. Friday started about 9 in the morning. Well, they opened up the doors at 8:30, and it ran till about 8 o'clock that night.
Oh, wow. So it was long. Did they have like speeches and stuff the whole time?
Oh, yeah, everybody spoke, and then I slept in Saturday, so I didn't get there till almost 11. It was kind of a shorter day because it was shut down by 4. Everybody that stayed in one of the local motels had Bigfoot sightings behind the motel from the Platte River. People reported whoops and eye shine, and they snuck up real close because the Platte River runs right through Grand Island, most of it anyways.
Yeah, I'm not sure where Grand Island is. I know my dad grew up in Indianola.
Yeah, it's just between there's North Platte, there's Kearney, and there's Grand Island, and there's Hastings and Beatrice south of there. And yeah, we right into the 3rd or 4th speaker, they got on the PA and said, if anybody has family in Lincoln, Waverly, or Elkhorn, please call them. There are tornado warnings and sirens going off in that area. It was pretty bad. One hit a freight train. One knocked over a truck driving through Lincoln. I even heard a radio 3 weeks later that a wife who and her husband had a farm, and her son had a farm down the road, and she was trying to outrun it in a farm tractor doing 22 miles an hour, and she actually made it to safety. Yeah, it did some damage. We got some flooding, but other than that, it did some damage. Oklahoma got it pretty worse. It tore right through a Dollar Tree general distribution center, went right down through the middle. I mean, opened it up like a tin can.
Yeah, Oklahoma's a tornado alley. I know when I lived I lived in northern Texas above Dallas, and I was like cross country. It was like 30 miles to Oklahoma City, so I was well within Tornado Alley myself.
Yeah, it's it's one of them. Just you just don't stop and just keep going because
Yeah.
Now we had on an off note due to the extreme weather we're talking about. We had back in April or March, I can't remember when. We had 3 trucks blow over in one day because
wow.
of extreme wind. they almost lost their jobs.
Yeah. We get like trucks blown over on the summit fairly often when the wind's blowing really hard. But now they shut the freeway down pretty fast, or shut it down for like trucks.
Yeah, anything under 40,000 pounds, they shut it down.
Yeah.
Well, supposed to, but I still see RVs and them clowns out there. I just shake my head.
Yeah. Yeah.
I am heading your way after tomorrow, though.
Are you?
Yeah.
It's been windy here a lot. Wasn't too bad day yesterday. It was really nasty wind.
Yeah, the last couple of times I drove through Cheyenne, I pulled the plug on it. It was too windy. I had light load, so I'm not going to go blow over with something 30,000 pounds.
Yeah. Best bet is to wait till nightfall because it usually slows down at night.
Yeah. The Bigfoot Conference is great. They're talking about moving it to a bigger venue there at the state fairgrounds. Friday and Saturday, the crowds got so big, I guess they're looking for a bigger space for next year.
You going to go next year too?
I'm going to try to.
Yeah.
They got different people going to show up there. People had movies or stuff that they filmed of Bigfoot, and it was pretty interesting showing people seeing the film, and I was counting up there. I said, man, there's 4 or 5 of them up in the trees. I mean, you got to look closely if an average person won't see that. And I think it was last week or the week before last, the guy I was talking to, Duke Sullivan, did a show on that where they showed 7 more Bigfoot other than Patty in that 50-something-year-old film.
Yeah. It's too bad Bob Gimlin wasn't there. It'd be pretty cool to meet him.
Yeah, he's last year Ron Moorhead was there.
He does quite a few conventions, but he's starting to get pretty old. Hi, Reels.
Yeah, that film about ruined his career.
Oh yeah.
People harassed him, called his house, talked to his wife, told him he was a fake and a fraud. I've heard stories of he's an actual good guy.
Yeah,
he was just there
I've heard a couple interviews with him, and he seems to be pretty down to earth, really nice guy.
He was just up there to show Roger around. I think they were following a family or something when they ran into Patty.
Yeah. Quit. That cat will get you.
Uh-oh, Star, that cat will get you. You want some chicken, Star?
The cat is twice as big as she is, so yeah. And the cat doesn't give a fuck either, so.
No.
GRB, hello. We were just talking about the Bigfoot convention. Anybody have any questions about that? The Bigfoot convention was in Nebraska a couple weeks ago, and Andrew went to that.
Towards the end of April.
Yeah.
Now, Blaine Tyler from Canada had some good points. He talked about the reason why we can't see Bigfoot is because of their hair is hollow and they blend in with the scenery. So
yeah, that's
get
what I've
behind
heard
a tree
too.
or something, you can't see them. They look like they're green or something. I saw some.
Yeah, their fur like reflects the colors around them. So
there was even a trucker report that I came across at the Bigfoot Museum in January. The owner, Harriet McFeely, showed it to me. I guess I don't know if he was a bull rack or a grain hauler, but he was a truck driver pulled over on a rural road just for the night, and I guess he was making a delivery the next morning. When a 9-foot Bigfoot peeked in his window and freaked him out.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Mojo says there's a BFRO there.
All right, Lucky, you falling asleep over there? Oh, hey. Wake up. Sorry, Pam. She over there in dreamland or something. Somebody chasing her or something.
So was the BFRO represented there at the convention?
They might have been some people, but I didn't see anybody there. There were so many big names in the Bigfoot community, and everybody got along. I didn't see no fights or arguing or you're full of crap stuff. Everybody got along.
Which can happen because there's a couple different groups. There's groups of people that think that they are like an ape, and there's groups of people that think that they're more people, and there's the wow wow people or the woo woo people, and sometimes they tend to argue with each other.
Yeah, I've heard some of the horror stories.
Yeah.
A lot of people talked about them being forest people. That's all they are. They're forest people. They want to be left alone. You go in there and try and chasing them, they're going to throw rocks, sticks, and if you really get close to a nursery or something, they're going to start grunting and stomping.
Yeah.
And probably knock over a tree or something. That's usually the good sign that they don't want you in the area when they knock trees over around your vehicles. That means, well, you can't get out of here.
Real says, I've never seen Bigfoot, but I've had them scream at me twice.
Oh, when they scream at you, you know it.
With a roar scream that you can feel in your body.
That's about right.
Well, now, I think from what I understand, they have a lot bigger vocal range than we have.
Yeah.
Like they can make a lot of different noises that we can't make no matter how hard we try. Plus, they're loud.
The tongue clack, or they call it clacking, the teeth clacking, or the whoa, or that's usually grunting, but they can scream at you and make you feel comfortable to where you want to get out of there. I've heard stories from the Bigfoot Outlaws radio show. That's how I found out more about Bigfoot, was because of them. And they even had some hunter encounters where one guy claimed the Bigfoot ripped up a rock out of the ground the size of a suitcase and launched it at him. You're talking about a rock that's 300 or 400 pounds being thrown at you.
Yeah.
And they will not let you get back to your truck. They will make you go 2 miles around, then let you get back to your truck.
Did Jeff Meldrum go there to the meeting?
I don't think so. It's Harriet McFeely runs it, so it's people she invites. So I know Ron Moorhead was there last year, and I couldn't make it because I just started this job and couldn't get the time off in time to go. So I figured I'd go this year. It was pretty nice.
There's conventions all over the country too, so I'm sure that not everybody can attend every convention.
Well, they're in California. I know we were talking about that the other day. Oregon, Washington. Washington is known for the what is it? Paul Freeman video and that five-star mountain video showing something walking on top of a mountain with snow. And
I've seen that video before.
And I know we were talking about it earlier. There's a video on World Bigfoot Radio, episode 163. I was looking at it, and it's the best or better look at Bigfoot, and it actually shows two of them fighting. Then me and Duke were talking about it Saturday before I left, and he estimates that thing was 15 to 20 foot tall that came and broke up those 2 8-footers. I mean, you could see an 8-foot albino white one and a 8-foot black one, and he shoved them pretty good at a 45-degree angle. And when that big tall one comes across, they took off outrunning it, because when he came on scene, they took off like two girls. And yeah, there's some pretty interesting things in the woods that hasn't been discovered. Duke and I also talked about a lot of these missing person reports are could be encounters that never get reported because they got killed or
Yeah.
whatever they ran across, or they whatever they messed with just killed them because they didn't like them.
Yeah. And there's all kinds of other creatures too, like the big I forget what they call it, but the big black eagle that's like got a wingspan, and they're big enough to pick up a man and carry him off. That's up in Alaska, I think.
There's I've even heard because I'll listen to a lot of that stuff at night when I'm driving to kill time, and I've even heard native folklore about owls that will come down and carry off kids because they've been bad or something, and it has something to do with the skinwalker or something about that.
Hi, Jenny Lynn.
The bigger birds or something. The firebird or the phoenix or something like that. I've heard of that too.
Thunderbird. That's what I was talking about, Mojo. Thank you.
I think there was even an episode of those guys riding around in one of them 6-wheelers, and there was 6 guys in there, and I think a big one was trying to spook them off by coming down and buzzing them in a 6-wheeler, that's 6-person cart or whatever it was.
Yeah, I was reading a story from Alaska about a guy that was out hiking, and he saw one flying overhead and kind of ducked into the trees. And then he felt really bad because he met a girl going up the trail just a little ways further as he was going down, and she disappeared. They never found her.
That's really weird. Now, Dave Scott from Canada, it was about 3 or 4 years ago that he talked about a woman riding through the woods in a horse. Her and the horse disappeared, and nobody else has seen her since then. And I know people know about the missing cases, like the Dennis Martin case where he was carried off back in the 60s. He was in a red shirt and something, and they found his shoes and clothes piled up in a neat pile or something.
And there was a couple like a few miles away that saw something man-shaped up on the hill with holding something red. But it was like the FBI kind of squelched it real fast.
Yeah, that's a whole rabbit hole.
Yeah.
There was a show on YouTube I was watching not long ago, was talking about Dennis Martin and them cases. And that boy in North Carolina, that wasn't no bear, man. He just happened to be found by some Bigfoot that protected him until the weather.
Yeah, there's a lot of stories with kids, and there was a little boy that him and his folks were out camping in Idaho, and they went down to the creek to fish and left him with his grandpa, who fell asleep, and they never found the boy ever.
Oh, wow.
He disappeared. He was like 2 or 3 years old.
That's crazy. I mean, anything happens in the woods, you get lost. I mean, there's not much you can do. I mean, your cell phone's pretty much done.
Yeah. Well, they're starting to push like the personal satellite locator beacon things for people to carry them with them all the time when they're out in the woods. But so what kind of things have you run across on the road?
I've seen enough that would make a sober person in your chat become an alcoholic.
Yep.
I could write a book that could go forever. I have seen it all, and it just never ends. I mean,
well, that's what I want to hear about, some of the things that you've seen.
I know I had a skinwalker encounter, and I had 2 druids. Now this was during the blood and the blood and supermoon. I can't remember. It was a couple years ago. I saw 2 druids jump up out of the road, look at each other, look at me, and they disappeared. I mean, they disappeared like we got to leave this guy alone. And that the skinwalker incident was back in 2020 of New Year's week. I don't think it was late Thursday going into early Friday, about 2:30 in the morning. I was about 45 minutes west of Wells because I was trying to get to Wells, Nevada, and just pull the plug. And I saw something walking on a shoulder. And I said, man, that no way can be somebody out there, because they had freeze warnings for 3 days, and it was over minus 14 degrees.
Hi,
I
Curl.
mean, the temperature gauge in the truck was almost reading minus 15
Wow.
because with the wind chill. And I didn't. They say you're not supposed to look in the face or the eyes, but I got over in the left lane as a common courtesy, as us truckers do. If anybody's on the side of the road broke down or walking, we get over, because that's the last thing you want to do is blow by them and suck them up underneath the truck,
Yeah.
or it'll knock them
Or,
over.
or hit them with the side mirrors. I had
Hit them with the side mirrors.
one of my dad's friends. He drove truck too, but he was out like checking his load and stuff, and another truck went by and caught him with the side mirror.
Ooh.
Killed him. Yeah.
Yeah, that's not fun. That'll seriously hurt you.
Oh, it just says I've seen rakes in the mountains. Have you ever seen a rake?
No, that skinwalker was pretty interesting. I mean,
Oh
Nevada.
yeah, I want to hear. Totally want to hear about it.
So I got past it and got back over it. I didn't think much of it. So I got to Wells, Nevada, went inside and went to the bathroom, come back to the truck, and started settling down for the night. I had strange dreams for 3 days. I said, man, that must have been a skinwalker or something. I ain't never had nothing like that.
What did it look like?
It looked like an Indian in that old Davy Crockett, Daniel Boone type stuff, with the old jacket, the old fur tan hide or whatever it was, with the leather strips hanging down. It just seemed like something that shouldn't have been there. And then it's just some weird stuff. I mean, I've seen dark triangles and circles and rectangles come up out of the road and just take off. I'm like, I've seen some weird stuff. I just look at the dog and just shrug it off. Now, I made a deal with my boss to get the 6 days off to go to the Nebraska Bigfoot Conference. So back in somewhere early in March, I was coming through Nevada, and I had to run 93 up, and then somehow it goes into the extraterrestrial highway, which is 318 for a ways, and it goes back into 93. And I saw half a ghost corpse with it looked like you take a human and just slice it at an angle, and it just the arm and a part of the chest and the torso and the legs just walking up out across the road in front of me. And then not even 2 miles down the road, it was either an alien or something I've never seen before. Completely blacked out dark entity, no face, no nothing. Looks at me. I said, come on, guys, it's late at night. I'm tired. I don't have time for this. They do have a sense of humor. It's just, you got to chalk it up, because you got a job to do, and you can't just let this stuff get to you. It'll eat you up, and you'll quit.
Yeah. Nevada is so like, there's so many long, empty stretches of road there in the middle of the night.
I even came across a report of an Air Force. Now, this is back in the day when they still had the SR-71 program. They had a SR-71 take off from Edwards Air Force Base to go out to Area 51, and a UFO 3 times as big as it buzzed it a couple times while it was flying. Yeah. They got out there. So they're out there. It's the luck of the draw when you see one or not. I did see one a few years ago.
My thoughts on the UFOs is I've never seen one close up. I've seen some lights before that were pretty suspicious looking.
When they start flashing or going out like a
do 90 degree angles at the just lightning speed. Yeah.
Wow.
That doesn't look quite right.
The thing is, when I was I'm almost 50. I just turned 48 in March. Now, back in California, I was about 14 or 15. On Sunday afternoons, we usually relax, or Dad's napping on the couch, and I usually wash the cars on Sunday and then play outside or something. There was a UFO above the house that looked like a 1950s coffee saucer.
Oh, wow.
Top and bottom looked like it was there for about 20 minutes and it was gone. My dad
Well,
was.
there's UFOs in old art from like the 1400s, and there's stories of UFOs in the Bible and everything else. And to me, with UFOs, the thing is that you would have to be totally conceited to possibly think that we are the only intelligent life anywhere, you know, in the, not just the universe, but the universe is past that and everything else. I mean, you know, there's got to be. I mean,
Well, it does say in the
just have
Bible,
to
God
be,
created
you know.
everything, so whatever else He threw out there is out there.
Yeah.
My paranormal ability started back in 2011. My grandmother had passed away, and I heard her voice in my apartment 6 months later.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, she's like, Andrew, Michael, and I was like, what did I do? And I'm sitting there, you know. And another time, I was either tired or I got obsessed with the Amityville case, and I got pretty wrapped up into it. About 2:00, 2:30 in the morning, there was a little kid voice that came through my apartment and said, "Can you please stop?" Because I was looking at the crime scene photos and just in awe of what happened to that family.
Yeah.
And then 4 kids. I mean, one of them, little Allison, she had that I just woke up look with one eye closed, and she got shot in one of the eyes. Dawn, she was on her period, and she was shot, and she was brain dead, but her heart was still beating. So that's why all the blood and body fluids was in the bed. And I just don't know how that house, nobody heard that powerful rifle go off. I mean, that's the, I don't know.
Well, I rented a house in Huntley, Montana, which is a little town like east of Billings, about 20 miles
Okay.
east of Billings. And I rented a little house there, and it was like there was so much activity in that house. And it was like I kept like ignoring it or making excuses for it. Like I thought I was going nuts because like I'd come back from riding my bike and I'd put my phone on the table, and then I'd go to the bathroom and come out, my phone would be gone. And I'd find it in a china cabinet or someplace weird like that. You know, hi Craig. And I kept thinking, God, you know, I'm only 50 years old and I'm going nuts, you know. But then one night, and I used to, which I never did before or since, I used to play the radio at night, like fairly loud. And I realized now what I was doing in my head was drowning out the noises because the house was noisy at night. And I didn't want to hear it, so I played the radio. But one night I had just climbed into bed, and Mario, my cat, he was just a little kitten, like he'd fit in my hand. He was only like 6 inches long. And my daughter kept him in her room at night. And I had just gotten into bed, and I heard a cat purring really loud, and I heard it walking across the floor, and I felt it jump up on the bed, and it walked across the bed and laid on my legs. And it was like way bigger than Mario, but my mind just went to Mario, and I like kind of sat up and reached down to pet him. And then I'm like, it's not Mario. And my hand at the same time was hitting empty bed. There was nothing there. And I jumped up and turned all the lights on, and I slept with the lights on for about 3 nights. And I thought, no, I'm not going to do this. This is my house. I'm not going to be scared of my own house. But once, I mean, you can pass off noises and saying your ears are playing tricks on you, or see shadows at the corner of your eyes, and you think it's just, you know, your imagination and things getting moved. You're just going crazy, but you can't.
Or you're sleeping at night and you hear
feeling something laying on you. You can't pass off the weight of something laying on you when there's nothing there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that, realizing that happened, like opened up my mind to where all this other stuff started to click into place. The other stuff that I was seeing and hearing and stuff, you know, that I've been trying to pass off as nothing. So the cat kind of brought it all out in the open for me. And then it was like, And then Pecker moved in with me for a while. My son moved in with me, and it was like, holy shit, Mom. What in the hell is going on in this house? But yeah, that was like the beginning of it for me. But I could do a whole show on the stuff that happened at that house, which I don't want to do because I want to hear your stories from the road.
Yeah, it's pretty bad when you're trying to lay down at night and you hear doors jingling or a shadow just go past the doorway.
Yeah.
I'm surprised they didn't follow you. I've heard stories where they.
Oh man, I was worried about it when I moved out. I was really worried about it, but I've never seen anything since I left that house. So they did not.
So they were probably attached to the house and the land.
Yeah, I think
it's not odd for them not to be attached to a person.
Yeah. But thank goodness, no, they did not follow me. That was like, I was actually worried about it at the time, but and there was stuff going out on right up until the very last packing that I got done. I was listening to like dishes rattle in the boxes behind me and shit. I mean, it was just like,
wow,
all the time, day and night. And like one night, the cupboard door in the kitchen slammed so hard that it made me sit straight up, and I ran into the hallway and met my daughter had come out of her room too. And the hallway, there's a light in the hallway, but there's no light in the living room. And then you had to walk through the dark living room to turn on the kitchen lights, which were by the front door on the wall. And I told my daughter, I was like, well, we both said that was a cupboard door slamming. That was one of the kitchen cupboards slamming, being slammed shut. I was like, yeah, go turn on the light. She's like, hell no, you go turn on the light.
You guys drawing short end of the straws, huh?
Yeah, we ended up, neither one of us did. We just went back to bed. But I've gotten up before in that house, and like every cupboard door and refrigerator door, oven, everything standing wide open in the morning, like everything standing wide open, top, bottom drawers, everything.
Now I've heard stories of they'll turn on the kitchen sink and knock the stuff out of the cabinets.
Yeah,
on that.
I used to hear like the dishes rattling and stuff. Like I could hear like glasses moving around in the cupboards and stuff at night. That's why the radio was a good thing.
Yeah, you can.
But back to your road stuff. I want to hear stuff that you saw on the road.
It's just it's a whole different world. I've been out here 15, almost 17 years. I've seen about 15 meteor showers. I've seen about 15, 16 falling stars and stuff. You get out on roads.
I saw a bunch one night on the way to Moses Lake in Washington. The whole sky was full of like a meteor shower, like falling stars and stuff everywhere. That's the only time I've seen it like that, but it was like the sky was just full of them.
I'd be driving along. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to ask you more questions, so you go ahead.
I've seen it to where I was like, look at that. I said, we got a meteor shower. I don't remember hearing anything on the news, so I'll just keep on going till something big hits the road and we got to stop. I mean, it could be space debris or.
Have you ever seen one follow you or anything like that?
I've had some interesting things happen while I've slept. I woke up to knocking on the truck, and I get up and bust open the curtains, and ain't nobody there. I don't know. I've been woke up like that 4 or 5 times. You got to watch the Indian land too when you go through Arizona and New Mexico. Now I've parked at some Navajo and some Native American truck stops, and nothing, thank God, hasn't happened. We had when I used to be at the old company before I went to this new one here in Nebraska, we had a female driver trying to explain that she woke up the next morning and there was an Indian in full headdress standing outside of her truck looking right at her.
Oh, holy cow. Hey, June.
And that wasn't my encounter. That was just somebody. I said, man, what would I do if I freeze in your tracks?
Grasshopper says, have you ever confused a lot lizard with a Sasquatch? Be honest.
No. Both are hairy and they stink.
That's it.
Hi, dear. Lindsay. You little Oh man, there's so much. Now, if you get down there, like in Alabama or something out there, there's supposedly dogmen areas down there. I've never been through
Yeah.
there. I've slept out in the middle of
I've
nowhere.
heard that in Alabama and Louisiana. There's supposed to be a lot of dogmen in Louisiana.
They got different names for them
The
down there.
Lugaroo. The Lugaroo.
The Rougarou or the Lucifilea. That's another. Man, it's raining now. I can hear it hitting the truck.
Yeah, it's raining here too. I hear it dripping off the porch.
Yeah, Nevada's really weird.
Yeah,
Now,
like I said, Nevada's just so much open desert space that
just don't know what's out there. I mean,
yeah, and at night you can see lights in the sky like forever. If there was any, UFOs around, you'd be able to see them.
I've heard encounters, not from anybody I know of or even my personal self, but I heard out there in Nevada where they got those huge rock quarries where they got those two. It's either a 45 and a 48 behind each other, which is like a A train or B train. And those drivers have reported of dogmen running alongside of them around the quarry area down out in the desert. Man, I wouldn't know what to do. I ain't stopping. I'll just keep going.
Sasquatch are scary, but dogmen are absolutely the very thought of them. I've never seen one, and thank God, because
you don't want to either.
The very thought of them is absolutely terrifying.
I've heard so many reports, like I said, from the Bigfoot Outlaws. I got to give them credit for all the stuff that I've learned in other shows. I've heard encounters of women that say when they looked at them, they were looking at them as if they were looking down into their souls. I mean, dogmen ain't no joke. For instance, there's a infamous picture on the internet called the Beast of Seven Shoots, which is up in Canada. And somebody somehow, I don't know how they did it, got a picture of a dog man carrying off a little cockapoo or somebody's poodle.
Yeah.
I'm gonna make that heel nipper shut up for good.
I've heard when they hit an area, there's like all kinds of missing dogs and cats and everything. They'll clean out there.
Or you'll get reports of Bigfoot running along dogmen or dogmen running along Bigfoot.
Yeah.
Or when there's UFOs out in the skies that Bigfoot will show. Or I've heard so many stuff about that punchy. It just makes your head, you scratch your head like, come on, guys. Huh?
Yeah, I've listened to David Paulides, but I quit listening to David Paulides because it was really interesting, his thoughts on Bigfoot and the studies that he did on him and stuff. But his politics, I cannot listen to his politics.
Now, Art Bell, back in the day when he was alive, he
was fun to listen to too. I've listened to lots and lots of his.
The government actually shot at his house a few times because he got a little too controversial, so the government shot his house up.
He had a lot of really interesting guests on his show.
People think they just cloak or just disappear. I think, they just are good at blending in with the tree. Now, the juveniles or the young ones are the ones that you catch out in the open, or the ones that think you can't see them behind a tree, but you can still see them. I think
people miss them a lot too, because when you're out hiking, you generally don't look up into the trees.
That's another thing too
a lot of times they are up in the trees,
especially young ones. Yeah. There's that infamous footage that I've seen from that TV show Finding Bigfoot that shows a juvenile swinging in a tree somewhere in the East Coast. Wow. I can't remember where. Yeah, if the tracks stop and they don't look like they've gone any further, or they gone backwards and it looked like they didn't go either way, they've gone up into the trees.
Jesse says, is there catmen?
Actually, they can jump from tree to tree.
There might be, but the thing with the cats is there's a lot of sightings of extremely large black panthers that are not supposed to exist.
No.
But they are around. A lot of people see them.
The ones that you got to be careful of, the GMO government created dogmen. Now the regular dogmen don't like them and they'll kill them.
Chew.
And they got trackers and the whole 9 yards. That's what Duke was talking about too. And them dogmen don't like them GMOs. We talked about so much stuff. A normal person walking up in a conversation would just be like, I don't know. It was fascinating to hear what everybody's opinion was, or they're just forest people, you know. It's like their backyard is the woods and we're their entertainment.
Yeah.
You know, they will throw acorns, and if it gets
there's
any
different,
bigger, it'll be
there's
small
different
pebbles.
types of them around different parts of the country, and some of them are a little bit nastier than others.
Yeah, especially down there in Australia, the yowies. They're not as big as the ones here, but they sure got a temperament.
Yeah, and I've heard that like the skunk ape.
You're talking about Florida.
Bad temperament. Those are the
Honey Island swamp
Sasquatch.
monster.
Yeah, those are the Sasquatch in Florida are called the skunk apes. And I've heard that they are not pleasant.
Now,
like Ohio has the Ohio grassman, and from
grassman,
they aren't as mean as a lot of them. They're a lot milder and more curious and stuff. And the ones in Washington and Oregon and California generally aren't as mean as some of them in other places. And I've heard the ones in Texas are pretty mean.
Yeah, down there in Brown Springs, yeah, that's an area you don't want to be after dark. Yeah, that's just a real bad place. Now, I don't know how accurate the movie, the Legend of Boggy Creek was, but they used a lot of town people back then. Bobby Ford had been passed away, I guess, for some time or something. I don't know. They had other people playing him, and at one point during the movie, the Bigfoot actually reached through an open window in the house. Now, how accurate that actually was, I don't know, because I wasn't around. But I guess it did happen. So
I've heard of stuff like that happening. Yeah,
they'll jingle the door, or they'll slap the side of the house. When you start feeding them, you better be prepared to hunker down, because they'll jump up on the roof. They'll slap the side of the house. They'll scream. There was one place in Oklahoma, and I don't remember where it was at. The Bigfoot Outlaws said, I guess they had a freezer outside on the porch, you know, like a normal freezer where you put your meat and stuff. And I guess stuff kept disappearing, and they finally put a chain around it with the padlock, and they finally broke the padlock and chain off of it and tossed the freezer. Man, I mean, that stuff. I mean, when food runs out and you're not feeding them, man, you're expecting. It's like dealing with a 900 to 1,200 pound second grader, man. I mean,
yeah. June says, if they take people, what do they do with them? I think that depends on what kind of ones you've run into, because I've heard of people finding like boneyards where people were definitely had been eaten.
I would
at the same time, like there's a lot of stories of, like, especially like back in the day, the Indian women and stuff would be taken and basically taken as a mate for them. So it just
I've heard stories like that. That's just
what kind you've run into, because like the big 12-footers and stuff up in Alaska, they supposedly eat everybody. So it just depends.
That abandoned fishing village.
Yeah.
They got some big ones. They got some big ones. Ron Moorhead, I don't know who talked them into doing it. Somebody talked him into doing playing the Sierra Sound from the 1970s, and he got out of there. I mean, they come down, man. The stories I heard in Alaska would just, your eyes would roll back up in your head, said, my God.
There is
They
a
were,
lot,
I don't,
a lot of people go missing in Alaska.
that whole fishing village is abandoned for a reason. Some odd years ago, I don't know where they were doing construction. They were delivering a bulldozer. I don't know if they trucked it in or not, but they carried the blade and the bulldozer separately. And I think it was a D9 or D11, one of them big old Caterpillar dozers. And they were looking for the blade because they didn't know what happened to it. One of those big old 30 footers carried that thing off 100 yards into the woods.
Yeah.
I mean, when you say 30 feet, I mean, it's like taking two tractor trailers and standing them on top of each other. And that's about 26 and a half feet because they're 13.6 each. And them things up there, they get big, man.
Yeah. Yeah. The ones up there and in Canada and Alaska and stuff. A lot of them I've heard have like, they'll be really big and they have like 2 tusks on the side of their mouth.
I've heard of that too.
They are definitely man eaters.
Gugwees, those are
not
that. Bigfoot don't like them. They'll kill them. Now, to get back to what you're saying about the ones that carried off the Indian, they could be rogue ones. The rogue ones are the ones that got kicked out because of certain things, and they can kill people. If you run across a rogue one, chances are you ain't gonna make it out of there unless you got something that'll drop it, like a 44, maybe even a 50 cal.
Yeah, it just depends on the luck of the draw what kind you're gonna run into. Because
I'm not suggesting shooting at one. But if you're in a dire situation and you
if you have no choice, if it's them or you're gonna shoot them.
Now, there's a good story. How old this is, I don't know, but it goes back to somewhere in Tennessee and Kentucky area. A hunter was sighting in his rifle. I don't know if he bought it for himself as a gift or something and told his wife, hey, I'm going out to the rock quarry, I'm going to sight it. And I guess he came across a Bigfoot that screamed at him. Well, this bozo decided to take a pop shot and shoot at it and follow the blood trail. Well, I don't know if it was the next day or not, but his wife called the park ranger and asked him to do a welfare check because he didn't come home when he was supposed to. Well, they found him all right. I don't know how graphic anybody wants to hear this, but it gets pretty bad. Not only did they kill him, there was 4 or 5 different sets of Bigfoot around his pickup, and they stuffed him back in his pickup, killed, with his back broke and his legs going the other way behind his head. So basically, they folded him up like an accordion and stuffed him back in his pickup.
Yeah, I've heard of that one.
The government came in and wrote it off as a bear attack.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I mean, you just cannot. You can't make this stuff up.
Yeah.
So you heard stuff like that before, huh?
Oh yeah.
That's just I do not suggest shooting at them because the ones you don't see are the ones who are going to probably kill you.
Yep, and where there's one, there's more than likely
Yeah.
of them.
Now
they don't appreciate getting shot at.
No, and Patty, you could tell she was shot at before because of that construction crew up there trying to build that road up through there. Took a couple pop shots, and there's a hemorrhage on one of her sides of the thigh where you could tell where she got shot or the bullet grazed her. Yeah, these things don't like it. They don't like you when you shoot at them. Where was I going to go with another comment? How's everybody liking it so far? Everybody digging it?
I'm sure there's people in there that think that we're crazy. Hi, Sandra Heath.
Yeah, there was a family back in the 80s that was killed supposedly by a dogman, and the U.S. Army from Fort Campbell sent the unit down there, and they supposedly killed it and hauled it out with a deuce and a half. Yeah, that was called the Beast of the LBL. That's a pretty well-known story.
That was the one where it broke into their camper and killed all of them. And they found the little girl hanging in a tree, half eaten.
That's the one. And the only reason why she was found was 2 rangers were looking around to see if they could find anybody else. And one guy, I guess, was tired or took his hat off and did one of these numbers and looked up or something. And
There was
the
blood.
other park
blood
ranger said,
dripping
"Hey,
off.
man, you got blood on your face." And they looked up into the tree, and that's when they found a 6-year-old girl half eaten, tossed
Yeah.
up in a 30-foot oak tree. Now, the mother, man, that was to die the way she did. I mean, she fought that dog, man, with her hormones and everything to where she pretty much tore the skin and bone down to the bones. And she was shredded in less than 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Now, the father and his son, how it started was I guess the father was backing up the camper, getting everything set up when it got him, and then it got to the little boy and snatched his head off, and I don't know what he did after that. Then got to the mother in the camper. The only reason why the little girl got found in the camper was she was crying or something in a closet, and that was the end of that.
Yeah. Yeah, I would 100 times rather run into a mad Bigfoot than a dog man.
Yeah. Them googlies or something
And
else.
I've never seen one, so part of my mind thinks that maybe they aren't real, but there's just too many stories about them. There's just too many people have seen them.
Yeah, I've even had to kick spirits out of my truck. I do not suggest anybody doing ghost boxes. I found out the hard way doing it.
I've heard that those ghost boxes, the ones with the radio signals that'll pick out words, I've heard that those are just as bad to use as a Ouija board.
Yeah, there's certain ways you can do it. I mean, you can ask to communicate. Then before you get done, I would always ask spirits, you got to go back to where you come from. You can't stay here. And I've a few years ago, there's a paranormal guy that bought up the Willow Weeps house in Gas City or somewhere in Indiana. I can't remember where. And he did a 3-day Halloween live investigation and spirit box session on YouTube. And I heard Indian drumming in my sleep. Somebody spoke to me in native Latin or something in my sleep. And I saw an entity in the house that looked like a frail old man that was 6 foot tall in a tuxedo suit or some kind of suit that it was actually over 12 foot tall in my sleep.
Wow.
From watching 3 days of that stuff. I mean, you cannot just.
Have you ever done any of that? This happened to me one time, believe it or not. And I know this is going to sound really strange to you people out there, but the astral projecting, where you leave your body at night.
Yeah.
I had that happen one night, and I didn't know what was going on. For 3 or 4 nights in a row, every time I'd start to fall asleep, I felt like out of control or dizzy, and I would make myself snap awake again. And then one night I was so tired, I just said, fuck it, and just let it happen. And I swear to God, I left my body and saw a whole bunch of different places and stuff. And yeah.
Yeah.
And it was definitely, that's what it was. That's what it was. And that's the only time that ever happened to me was one time.
You were taking a vacation.
It was weird. I was taking a vacation, yes.
Now I don't do that anymore. I
didn't do it. I didn't do it on purpose. This just about 3 nights beforehand, I was fighting off this weird feeling, and then I was just so tired, I just let it happen, and that's what happened to me. I
somehow tapped into it with my abilities, and didn't realize it until the last few times I said, "Hey, man, I got to knock this off," because the last 2 times I tried to come back to my body, I about missed it. And they say if you miss your body, it's not gonna have a good ending when you wake up the next day. Yeah. So I don't. Well,
I just had it happen that one night, and I didn't do it on purpose. It just happened. It just happened.
Or you're outside your body and you can see everything else in the house.
Yeah, and then it was like I was flying, and I went through a farm with a white picket fence and all kinds of flowers and stuff. And then there was another.
Are you back at the house?
Mansion with like big formal gardens and stuff. And I went inside the house, and it was a strange experience, but it was not the same thing as dreaming at all. It was not the same thing.
That's weird. I've had vivid dreams to where I've had the same dreams 3 or 4 times. I've had dreams to where I was in 3 branches of the military: Air Force, Navy, and the Army. Uh, some, uh, it just some of them dreams just get too weird. I've now to get into aliens now. I don't know if we got anybody in chat that believes in aliens, but I've got a relationship with the Blue Pleiadians. Now it's just not any regular Blue Pleiadians; it's the females because those are the only ones that come to me when I'm sleeping. I got girlfriends that are aliens for some reason, but they're very fond of me and they're very protective. So the day I get kidnapped by the Greys or something, that's going to start a very huge intergalactic war over me. But yeah, that's about it. I've never been taken, but I still see them. It's like they're letting me know that they're there and they know they can't touch me because they'll disappear. Now the Hat Man.
Whereas you're out like driving in the middle of the night through godforsaken Nevada and stuff, then yeah, you're bound to have attracted somebody's attention there.
Yeah, yeah. I'm like, come on, really, guys. The night I ran into them 2 things, I was like, come on, guys. Really, I've had a long day. Now, the only other time that I ran into a Hat Man type entity was there in the Erie, Pennsylvania area, right there along 90 right there at the Ohio and Pittsburgh or Pennsylvania state lines. I saw like a glimmer man one night. I had a really long day. I said, man, dude, I had a 600 and something mile day. I don't got time for this crap. I'll run your ass over with this truck. And it disappeared. I don't suggest anybody doing it. The only reason why I got away with it because I got strong protection and my father and I got 2 other relatives that look after me. So they just shake their head when I do something like that. Hey, I've had a long day. I ain't got time for this nonsense.
Yeah.
Now my dad, on the other hand, I've had friends in other YouTube chats on other channels that say, "Man, Dad, your dad was something else." One woman said she saw him smiling. Another one said he's got nice perfume, and he cleaned out their house. Whatever they had going on in their house, he cleaned it out. I mean, they didn't have any problems for a week, 2 weeks at a time.
Wow.
And he was very fond of women, so any women that got any ghost problem, he clean out their house. Yeah, my dad's no joke on the other side. As much as I pushed his buttons when he was alive, I feel bad, but it is what it is. Loved ones will look after you, that's for sure. I've missed every bad accident. I missed all the bad weather, and I was through the Dallas, Texas area 2 weeks before they had that ice and that big accident from that ice and them idiots driving too fast down there. I was just
she's got a gray story.
Huh?
Trash Cat says she's got a gray story.
Okay.
Gray story. So go ahead and type it out, Trash Cat.
I can't. Let me see it.
I'll read it when she gets it typed out. I was going through Nevada one time. I was about 16, and we used to go arrowhead hunting. And that was my dad's.
You gotta be careful with that native stuff.
But we were driving through Nevada, and it was like 2:00 in the morning. There was nobody on the highway or on the freeway. And this car came up beside us, and it was full of kids, like drinking and farting around, boys. And one of them, I remember, had a German helmet with a spike on top of it and stuff. And they started like, there was me and my sister were in the back seat. And they started showing off, and they were like, they would pass us and then get ahead of us a little ways and get out and pose, like sitting on the hood of their car with their beer bottles raised as we drove by and stuff. And they kept like, they were getting braver and braver and like swerving closer to our car and stuff. Oh, Trash Cat's here. Yay. And anyway, my dad about had enough of it because they were getting braver and braver. So he waited till we passed them one time, and they were going to come up behind us again, and he reached underneath the seat of the car and pulled us out a sawed-off shotgun, and he just unrolled the window and laid the double barrels on the windowsill on the driver's side, and just waited for them to pull up beside us and start swerving towards us. And I remember the guy with the German helmet, you could see him saying, "Oh shit!" And then their car took off and we never saw him again. Oh, there's Trash Cat.
There's Trash Cat forever.
Oh, dropped off, I think, because we couldn't hear her. Hi, Boots Cats.
Could be the storm or something. I don't know.
We'll see if she tries again or if she tries to type it out, because I want to hear what she has to say.
That's a pretty interesting story. I mean, I'm sure we all got stories. I mean, from our childhood and adulthood. Yeah, when you go out looking for native stuff like that, you got to be careful and just thank the land for letting you find it, or thank them for letting whatever they let you take from the land. I mean, thank them, because they loved the land and everything.
Make a noise, see if we can hear you.
Hello, I'm here.
Hello.
Yay.
Can you hear me? No, Pam, I'm not typing all that shit out. I'd much rather come up here and embarrass myself and tell the story.
So let's
Hey, I'm embarrassing myself pretty good, so it doesn't bother me.
So I have a bit of an echo. So my sound is okay and everything?
Yep, you're good. Your audio's good and loud.
So people can think I'm crazy, but that's what this stream is all about.
Yep.
Crazy. And this was pretty traumatic. And yes, I'm blonde. I saw somebody in chat notice that. Good job. So this was about 1 million years ago. I'll never forget, though. It was the summer before I entered 7th grade. It was July. I was so young. I was about 11 or 12. I think not quite 12. It was the summertime. And this was when we didn't have TVs in our bedrooms. We didn't have, night lights, whatever. So I have been told, "Oh, you probably just imagine this, blah 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 blah," because you probably saw something else. I woke up in the night, and it was probably very late. It was probably 2-3 a.m. I didn't check the time. I didn't write it down in my diary. I was laying on my right side. You guys say something. Come on. I woke up. I was laying on my right side. I was awake, but I had not opened my eyes yet. And I was basically just hoping to go back to sleep soon. Eventually, I opened my eyes, and there beside my bed, and it was on the right side of my bed, was this figure. And it was probably not much more than 4.5 feet tall. Go ahead, laugh. It looked just like all those shows you see. Big freaking eyes, slanted, white body, or gray, which is where they get the name from. And as a kid, I had plenty of like plushies on my bed, like teddy bears, and it seemed to have its attention, or its eye contact towards one of the bears, probably wondering what the hell it was. And I just laid there, and of course I was traumatized. I didn't know what to do. I was just like, why is this here? I'm trying to think, there was no noise, no lights, no sound, no anything. I didn't make any sound. You always think I'm going to scream. I couldn't scream. I was just too afraid.
I understand that. I've had that happen more than once.
Yeah.
They'll show up out of a drop of a hat.
Like you're so scared you can't hardly. You
Those
can't
things will just show up.
you can't really hardly
Yeah.
breathe, let alone yell,
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Again, like I said, this was back in the day where we didn't keep fans on at night. My two brothers were just a few rooms away. My parents' room was right below me, but again, I couldn't do anything. So I laid there for, of course, what felt like forever. And I guess all I could think of was, okay, is it bringing me back? Is it taking me? What are we doing here? And I guess to make the story short, I lay there awake for hours and hours, and then I was laying in bed, and then I heard this really strange sound, like above my head, and it was this weird. I can't even tell you what kind of a noise it was. It was just like this,
Pulsating.
not even pulsating. But as soon as I heard it, I was like, oh, yep, that was them leaving. And then around that time, it was like
Wow.
becoming light out. Yeah, the noise was just very. I can't describe it. Some guy from Michigan called me and wanted an interview about it too, and I couldn't even put into words how it sounded, the noise. But that's my story, and I've never been the same since. The end. The end. But
Now my
it was terrible. It was awful. It
Yeah.
was terrifying, and nobody believes you.
No.
Some people do, and my mom too, and my brothers. I was afraid to tell them, and they of course were like, "Oh, you were dreaming," blah 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 blah.
It's
Yep.
better
that's not a nightmare.
now
If you're
than like
sitting
when
there
I
laying
was
there,
young, people flat thought you were crazy if you talked about aliens or Bigfoot or anything. I mean, people just
Yeah.
flat out thought you were
Yep.
crazy. It's a lot more accepted now, I think, because of the internet and more people have told their stories.
That's
more
true.
people
Do
coming
it
out.
kind of anonymously.
Right.
And the
Yes.
fact that there's
Yeah.
so many people that have had experiences that is starting
Yeah.
to be a lot more accepted than it used to be when I was young.
That's true. Yeah,
Now,
that's very
my
true.
dad, in about the early 60s, we lived in way up in the hills outside of Rainier, Oregon. And I mean, like way out in the hills.
Mhm.
And my dad had hurt his back because he worked at a feed store, and he was delivering feed to a lady, and he had a couple sacks of feed on each shoulder, and he walked into her barn, and the barn floor caved in, and he just went down,
Yeah.
dropped down like 3 feet, and just compacted his back. So he was off work for about a year and a half, and he used to go out and poach a lot of deer and stuff like that because there was 4 kids and he wasn't working, and we lived out nowhere. It was before I started first grade. But all of a sudden, and I didn't put this together until like after I moved away from home when I was like in my 20s, but all of a sudden we left and we moved into the middle of town. And he had, the whole time I was growing up, he had all these hunting guns and he had tons of fishing poles, and that man never stepped into the woods again.
Mhm.
I mean, he
Yeah.
never stepped into the woods again. We would go out and hunt arrowheads on the river, where that became his big hobby. But he got a boat where we could like pull the boat up and get out on the shore and then get back in without going into the woods. And we used to go to Eastern Oregon and hunt arrowheads, but he would not go camping or anything else out in the woods again. Never
Right.
touched fishing poles again, never touched his hunting gear again.
He saw something out there that he didn't want nothing to do with.
He definitely, I mean, I know it. I know he saw something out there, and he
Now,
didn't
did
want
he
to
have
Yeah.
a tree stand, or would he just be in a bush or something? I've
What's
heard
that?
hunters would he get up into a tree stand, or would he
No,
just
he would just walk out in the woods.
Yeah, he came across something or spooked something.
Yeah, and I've heard like on that one channel that I like listening to, the Sasquatch Chronicles.
Yeah, that's a very
Okay.
good
That's
channel.
that's a good channel. Yeah, with Wes. But they had a guy on there that was telling stories, and he grew up in Rainier. and he saw them a lot. So, and we were up in Fern Hills and Rainier, and that's very definitely a lot of people have had experiences up there. And like I said, my dad never talked about it, but we never
No.
went to the woods again. I mean, he wouldn't even go on a picnic in the
No, he
woods.
saw
flat,
something.
he
He
just
didn't
flat
want-
wouldn't go in the woods anymore.
Yeah, it changes you.
Yeah.
And
Now,
I don't know if. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Now, MK
I was going to say I don't know what's more terrifying: to see a ghost, Bigfoot, a gray, your mother-in-law. Who knows what's more terrifying? But yeah. So
Damn it,
yeah, it's,
Lab's mother-in-law. These damn Kraken. Now, MK Davis, he did a breakdown of that Paul Freeman video. He's no longer alive. His kids are. And the one that popped out of the woods and stared at him for 30 seconds was a 16-footer. But what you don't see, you have to look at it very closely. After that one walked off, there was another one behind a tree where another little one jumped up on his shoulder and they took off. That one, he got lucky. He got lucky on that one. And you can hear him in the video said, "Oh, I got to get out of here. I got to get out of here." Because that 16-footer, 15, 16-footer stared at him like, "You get out of here." I mean, if you're out there alone and you run into these things, chances are there's going to be more of them than there are of you.
Exactly. June says, your thoughts on Patty. I thoroughly believe that the Patty film is real because
the breasts are swinging.
Like in 67,
swinging.
wasn't it 67, 1967 or something like that?
Yes.
They did not have the technology. Nowadays you could totally make up something like that and change it and all that stuff. But at that time they did not have the technology to make up a film like that and make an outfit like Patty.
Somebody went to the head of the Disney animatronics and asked them if they could do it. And they said, we don't even have the technology to even.
Yeah, nowadays I think nowadays they could, but back then they couldn't.
No,
back then they could.
A ghillie suit, but I mean the breasts were swinging on Patty, and the muscles and the thighs bulged out too. Man, she was 6.5, 7 foot tall. I saw her cast at the Nebraska Museum in Hastings, and Harriet was telling me she was 6.5, 7 foot tall, 800 pounds. And she had a nice sized track. I saw the track from the Sierra Sounds Biggie. I saw it with my own eyes. That track alone was over 18 inches. And he's the one that was making all the racket and the noises in the Sierra Sounds. And you can hear Ron and Al Berry. He passed away a long time ago, but Ron Moorhead, you can hear him say, "You're not so friendly tonight. We'll go back inside." They were sleeping basically in a log pole tent with enough room for them to sleep in the back, and they would have a fire going and leave their coffee pot. Biggie was the one that came around and was playing with the coffee pot. You can hear that thing clacking and stuff.
TJ's talking about, seeing her mom or her grandma. I missed it, but I think that happens a lot. People see relatives that have died. I think that happens a lot.
Or they'll let you know they're going to die ahead of time by visiting you the night before or the same night.
They'll come and say goodbye to you.
Now, when my dad died, now the funny thing about that was I was broke down in Gary, Indiana at a Freightliner dealer, but after hours, they wouldn't let you sleep in the truck. So I'd have to get a motel for 2 or 3 days. I smelled cigarette smoke in a non-smoking room. You tell me that. Tell me the odds of that. I mean, that was weird.
Isn't that kind of normal though?
He was letting me know he was okay. Now, there's 2 different versions of my dad, Tim. There's 2 different versions of my dad. There is the Air Force Staff Sergeant, and there's the old man that died at the age of 67. So, yeah, that's a weird deal there.
So what did they actually discuss at this Bigfoot convention?
Oh, they just talked about each one talked about different encounters and what they think about
Oh, so
Bigfoot.
there were speakers. Oh,
Yes,
wow.
I mean
Okay.
there were some
Hmm.
very big names in the Bigfoot community. People
Hmm.
from Canada, all over the U.S.
Wow.
The guy that took my picture with me and Dave Scott was just on the Spaced Out Radio a couple nights ago, talking about
I
his
didn't know
stuff.
there
I
was
got to hear
such
him
a
talk,
thing.
and he talked about the Betty and Barney UFO encounter and stuff, where all four
Yes.
government agencies, the DOJ, the FBI, CIA, the NSA, had documentation of everything from their reports. And that goes even way
Gravy.
back before I was born.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
they
scary.
got this. They had a UFO encounter or something driving home. Their watches were magnetic and stuck to the car and crap like that. Then there was
Oh,
that one UFO encounter, Punchy. If you ever watched Unsolved Mysteries, where it was the
oh,
grandmother, the mother, and the daughter had a UFO encounter, and they wound up getting cancer over the years because of that radiation.
well, that's something to look forward to. Awesome.
No, you're not glowing in the dark yet, Trash Cat. Turn out the lights to see if she'll glow in the dark there.
Oh my God. Radioactive. Looking forward to that.
Sorrow
Yeah,
of losing a loved one makes me think that of afterlife isn't what we've been told.
it's interesting.
I think that we are energy and we stay around. I mean, I think we go somewhere afterwards, but I don't necessarily believe in heaven and hell. I think that our energy stays, and sometimes our energy stays around for a long, long time, which is where ghosts and spirits and stuff.
Yeah.
We turn into Bigfoot. I mean, who knows?
Hey, I wouldn't mind kicking somebody's ass and ripping them apart.
I might agree. I'm gonna get off so I can cough.
It was nice
I'm
to
still
see you
trying to shake
finally,
that cough.
Trash Cat.
Oh, right? Live and eating ice
We've
cream.
all known each other.
Oh, I'm gonna taunt the hell out of everybody, Jess. And you know I'm gonna go first. You know, next month I'm gonna be 69 fucking years old. 69, guys. 69. What the fuck?
69 or 69?
69. I mean, I didn't think I'd live this long when I was like in my 20s. I figured I'd be like long dead by now.
I thought that too a long time ago with alcohol and in my early 20s, and somehow I lived through that nonsense stage. You know, I was lucky to even make it close to 50.
Yeah, well, I'm going to be 69.
Everybody, she's going to be 69.
I am. I'm going to be 69. I know I look like I'm already like 89, but I'm going to be 69.
That was funny to hear from Trash Cat. That was a good story.
Oh, that was great. I love seeing Trash Cat.
That's how that stuff usually happens.
If anybody wants to come up and has a story to tell, there is a link pinned at the top of the chat. And you are more than welcome to jump up and tell us your paranormal stories.
One night, I'll give this story. My buddy from Canada, Dave Scott, he's got his own radio show from the basement of his house. He got taken one night about 10 minutes before he had to go to the bathroom. And he said, guys, come on, man, I got to go to the bathroom. I said, you're not going to like this. Having a mess all over your spacecraft and everything. And the next thing you know, he woke up in the bathroom in his house. He said, wow. They took him when he had to almost get up. He's had friends over the house and drinking, and 2 or 3 different UFOs will fly over. I mean, he's got Bigfoot and UFOs at his house constantly. Now his young kid they're here, referring to the Bigfoot people. They're here, Dad. Where? 25 yards off that way. He got on a little bit one night and told the Bigfoot story.
Oh, Lindsay, you can type it out and we can read it.
Somebody got one? Punchy,
yeah, Lindsay said she's got a story, but she doesn't want to. Oh, there's Jess. I love Jess Shrimp Granny. Hello. Jess,
Hi.
meet Andrew. Andrew, this is my good friend Jess.
Hey,
Hi.
I don't have a story to tell. I just wanted to come up.
Well, that's okay. We
It's
can look
okay.
at you.
Hey guys. I'm looking at chat
We
too.
see a small amount. That's true. That's true, June. June says we see a small amount of the light spectrum. There could be much more around us and visible to us.
Yeah, we definitely only see a little
Look
tiny
at
bit this
Einstein's
morning.
theory of relativity. I mean, movement through time, missing time with encounters, stuff like that.
I'm giving kisses to everybody I know in the chat.
That's awesome. We get up here and have a good time. I was
It's been a
roasting you
while.
pretty good before the show started, Punchy.
Can I vape on stream? Is that okay? Can I do that?
Huh?
Well, yeah.
That's
We
her
love
show.
Jess.
I'm just a
Cover it up.
visitor.
See, why we is typing? We love Jess. Jess with a lot of hearts.
Oh, why are we always so? I know we've been friends for years.
I know. I miss. We used to be online. We'd be on stream together a lot a few years ago.
I
But
know.
life gets
Now
busy.
I have a niece, a nephew, all kinds of stuff. It's
Yeah,
crazy.
life happens. Trash cat. Didn't you say one time that you saw a dog man once?
Ooh,
If you did,
ooh,
you need to come back up here and tell us about that.
ooh, ooh,
Love you
ooh.
too.
I
You
remember
know, for some odd
we
reason,
were talking one
females
night, and
seem to have more
I
encounters.
swear it was Trash Cat that told me that she saw a dog man once.
I've never seen a dog man. Like I've had some paranormal experiences. If you guys want me to talk about that, I
Yeah,
can.
tell us about your paranormal experiences.
All right.
No dog man? Okay. Must have been somebody else.
Haven't seen that. But oh, I, I don't know. Like pick a category. What do you want to talk about? Like seeing ghosts. I saw a couple ghosts, but I I told God I wasn't ready for it. It was a whole thing. I was young, but
Yeah,
I did. I saw them.
Yeah.
I was like, that's too much for me at this point in my life. I had a lot going on. I was very young, and I was like, I can't do this.
It does change your outlook on stuff. It definitely
yeah, it
does.
sure does.
It really
Uh,
does.
especially
Yeah.
with people that have addictions with drugs and alcohol are likely to see more stuff than a normal person because of their habits and addictions.
Now, before I lived in that haunted house in Montana, when I was living on Cape Cod, I was staying with a friend, and he had a 2-bedroom house, and he had the master bedroom, and my daughter had the other
Sure.
bedroom, and then I slept in the chair in the living room, and I was just like getting ready to go to bed one night, and the TV was on, and I heard. It's hard to explain, but it was like a ball of voices. I
Oh,
I could track it with my eyes, but you couldn't actually see it. But it was
Follow
like a ball of voices that I couldn't understand what they were saying. And it came out of the kitchen, like through the wall in the kitchen, and it went right in front of me. And my hair on my arm stood up like static electricity when it went by me. And then it went like past me, and it went out the living room wall and was gone. It was just the weirdest thing. And I never told anybody because I thought they'd think I was crazy.
right.
But the best way I could describe it was like a ball of energy, and you could hear the voices, and you could pinpoint where it
That's
is,
crazy.
where the sound was. But after I moved out of there, my friend Jim, the guy that owned the house, I hadn't lived there for about a year and a half, and he called me up one night, and he said, "Oh my God, Pam," he says, "you aren't going to believe what I'm going to tell you." And he described the exact same thing. He was sitting watching TV, and this ball of voices. came through the kitchen and went right in front of him and out the living. I mean, he described it word for word what I'd seen. And I told him, I totally believe you, Jim, because that happened to me when I lived there. I mean, the exact same thing. So that was like a paranormal experience that I couldn't really explain. But then when I moved to Montana, to that house in Montana, it was like, that was a full-blown paranormal ghosts and
Just turn up the volume
poltergeists
knob.
and shadow people and everything else. So that totally changed my outlook on what life is.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now I had a paranormal. I got another one. It was Father's Day weekend of 2019, and me and another trucker from Florida got together with a small group, 4, 5, 6 people, and we spent the night at Malvern Manor, which is like it was originally a hotel back in the 1850s all the way up until it was closed in the 90s as a nursing home or something for people with health issues. Now, back in the day, they down the rabbit hole for Malvern Manor was the killer of Villisca might have stayed at the Malvern Manor back in the 1900s before that family was hacked up in 1912. I think it was a year or something or close to when the Titanic sank. Well, anywho, we spent the night there, and nobody in the group bothered to tell me that the chair I slept in was haunted. So when I fell asleep, I was getting woke up every 20 minutes after 2 hours. So I was getting woke up every 20 minutes after 2 hours, and I was like, man, what the hell? You guys, what is up with this chair the next day? So we didn't tell you. They said, no, somebody brought it from their house to Malvern Manor because it was giving them problems. I said, I slept in that chair all night, and you guys didn't bother to tell me that the damn thing was haunted. Whoever it belonged to, whoever was attached to it, didn't like me in that chair. Period. When I fell asleep, sitting in it awake or talking, that was okay.
Sandy saw the Mothman one time.
Oh. Ooh, that's a warning there.
Mm-hmm.
Mothman gives warnings. Whether it was the Silver Bridge collapse or the one in Minnesota.
That's New Jersey Devil. Isn't that basically the same thing as a Mothman?
That's down there in the Pine Barrens, though. That's a different.
Is it? Okay.
Different. The New Jersey Devil is a creature unto its own. Just like Deer Woman is half a woman and half deer. That there was a princess. I don't know which tribe she belonged to. She was a Indian princess, got killed somehow, was buried with a deer or something, and she got deer feet, and half the woman, half an up is Indian, and she supposedly lures men out into the woods, somehow gets them to chase her and gets out to the woods, and that's a bad ending. And the Jersey Devil that's got a long list of encounters and stuff.
Yeah, it's supposed to be a warning though. When people see it, it's supposed to be a warning too.
Just like the Irish Banshee, she screams when somebody's gonna die in the family or something like that. I've never had any run-ins with anything like that, but that New Jersey Devil ain't no joke. I've seen what I've seen out there: the Hat Man, Glimmer Man, Hitchhiker, the alien, the crap and stuff in the desert, the Nevada desert, the druid that jumped up out of the road. She's sideways now. She gonna do gymnastics or something?
Yeah.
I mean, we all probably got enough stuff in our
I'm
life.
just trying to figure out where I want to put it.
Oh, I've had different dreams. This vivid dreams are just like something out of Hollywood. Have you ever had any of them dreams punch you like you wake up the next morning? What was all that about?
I've been there. I've had that at least once.
Really vivid dreams. The only time, like I say, that I ever had anything really odd happen to me was the astral projection that happened the one night to me.
I've had a dream like that, but I was like very sleep deprived.
Pam, you've had plenty of odd stuff happen to you. I guess
Sleep
this
paralysis
might
is
not
another
be-
one. Sleep paralysis is another.
I had that one time when I lived in that haunted house of sleep paralysis, but it was like I'd just gone to bed and it felt like something was pinning my legs down.
Ugh.
And when I looked up, you know how when you look up at night, you see the white ceiling, but there was like this great big black area in the middle of the white ceiling.
Now, I've heard people, now, if you can scream or shout in the name of Jesus Christ or something like that, that thing will just disappear.
Well,
Yeah.
I screamed my son's name and he came running and turned the light on and it disappeared.
Well, that too, yeah. In
I'm
the name of
glad.
Jesus. Anything, when you say that in the name of Jesus, anything that's bothering you is going to flee because of the power behind that name. I've used it a couple
Yeah.
times.
But
Yeah.
the
Stuff
thing is,
disappeared.
it does it because I'm not really religious and I'm not sure if it would work for me or not. Because I think a lot of it is the power
I think
in your mind, you know, believing in it.
I think you can just call on Jesus though, and it'll work. It might not be like the strongest if you don't have a lot of faith, but you can still call on Jesus and it'll work.
Or the St. Michael's prayer.
I
Oh, yeah.
mean, it,
Yeah, that works.
I mean, it could be the belief behind the name, not so much.
I think
entity?
the belief will just make it stronger, but I think you can always call on Jesus and Jesus will help you. You just like maybe let's say like there's different levels as to like how much help you need. You know what I'm saying? And if you just call on Jesus, you get a certain amount of help that's definitely going to keep you from getting possessed or whatever. It might not make it go away altogether if you don't have that belief, but just acknowledging and calling out.
I
Jesus
have
has a
Yeah.
powerful
on
name,
occasions. I have on occasion said, "Jesus Christ, what was that?" Does that
right?
count?
I mean, maybe.
I don't know. It's just when you say the name, things tend to just to disappear like that, you know.
I feel like if you call out for Jesus Christ when you need help, you're probably gonna get help. Like I was a pagan for a very, very, very long time. I had turned my back on Christianity.
Mhm.
And it wasn't so much as a turning my back on as a that didn't work for me at that time. And then I went back to Jesus,
Boots cat.
went back to being pagan, and like I don't know, I'm happy being a Christian now. Like that's what I'm happy being. And if but I feel like if anybody cries out to Jesus, if you need help, the least you're gonna get is the least you need to get the job done. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
There's so much different things out there. Punchy. I've lucky.
Oh,
I haven't
there's a
seen.
lot.
There's a lot.
There's a lot that we know
Here's
nothing
another.
about.
Here's another good
What?
one.
No. Oh,
Even
hold
the
on, hold on, hold
scientists
on, hold on, hold
even
on.
scientists are
Boots,
starting to talk
boots,
about
boots.
different
Yeah,
levels and planes exist.
Oh.
that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Boots cats and boots cats. Jesus isn't so petty that he'd be like, "When's the last time you went to church?" That's exactly right. He doesn't care. Yeah,
Eh, I
that's what I'm
believe
saying.
church was invented by man just to make money. That's
And to
pretty
keep
much it.
to keep the poor people in control of the richer people. That's kind of what I believe.
No,
I'm not an atheist, but I don't believe in organized religion because there has been more people killed in wars started by organized religion than any other cause in history.
that's a good
Mhm.
point. That's a good
Yeah.
point, Pam. But I don't think that it's just in the name of organized religion. I feel like money got involved in that.
Yeah.
Not just faith, not just love, not just I love everybody.
Oh yeah, money got involved in
You know,
everything.
Send me $20. Send me $20, and I'll send
money
you holy
spoils
water.
everything. Money spoils everything.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me I'm wrong.
Money. What is it? It says money is the root of all evil.
Thank
Or
you.
greed.
Root of all greed, root of all evil. Man, well, more greed. because evil is just there. It's more or
It's
less a presence.
I'm trying to read chat too,
Hey, Debs.
but like
Hey, Debs.
why it's you'll believe when it's time for you to believe. That's how it
Oh,
happens.
yeah, that's right. I have a rule, no religion, but this is a little bit different. This is a
Oh.
When
little
did you
different.
get that rule?
I've always had no politics and no religion rule.
Yeah.
What?
Oh, sorry,
Yeah.
Punchy. That was my fault.
Oh
But
man,
we're
I'm
talking
about to blow all
but
those
basically
rules,
we're talking
Punchy.
about religion versus paranormal and how you can use it to protect yourself
Yeah.
from paranormal. So
You
it's a little bit
definitely-
different than just sitting here preaching to everybody.
Oh, I'm happy to tell people how to use religion to protect themselves from the paranormal. I can do that.
Anybody else got any good stuff in
AFK
chat,
any day.
Punchy?
I mean,
What's that?
Anybody got any questions or any good stuff going on in
Well,
chat?
Sandy was telling us that she saw the Moss Man was the last thing I saw that was really cool.
I'm
That's
technically
usually a fair
agnostic,
warning.
so,
That's a fair warning is something to come.
so I don't know. Do I believe there's higher power out there? Maybe, yes. Because this whole solar system and galaxy and the world was put into place by something.
Yeah, there's no way it could just be an entire
So-
coincidence. But I don't feel like any one person is right. I don't want to go on record saying Christianity is the
No,
only
'cause
way to
the
be.
thing is, what I always say, and I thoroughly believe this, is there's like over 3,000 different religions, and every one of
Mhm.
them think that they are right, and everybody else is wrong.
Or
So there
Yeah.
you go. You know?
Pretty much.
or
Yeah.
what if everybody just tried to do the right thing in their everyday life, like when it
Yeah,
comes up?
exactly. I've heard people say, well, you have to have religion or there's chaos. If you have such low morals that you would like run amok without religion, then there's something wrong with you. You know?
Yeah, I mean, you could still be a good person and not be religious.
Exactly.
There's a place for organized religion. I can't tell you how many times I've gone to a Baptist church and had a great time because of people expressing their love in that church. It doesn't mean that if someone isn't expressing their love that same way, it doesn't count. That's not what it is. It's just, let's just do the right thing, y'all. Let's do the right thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know?
Exactly.
Do the right thing. Do the thing that is right to do at that time. Not enough people are doing that.
How about just being a good person? That's
That's what I'm saying, 44. That's what I'm saying.
people do need to do more of that.
Exactly. If it's a big thing, and I don't mean to bring in religion and all of that. I really didn't, but if I guess I did. So I have to say,
Well,
like,
no, I think we just kind of
Just
rolled
do-
into it because
I mentioned
paranormal
it.
and religion.
I mentioned it because it helped.
just look in
with
your
stuff.
heart, and you'll feel what is the right thing to do. Look in your heart and you'll feel it.
Yep. You
And
don't have to have religion for that, though.
that's
No.
how it
Mhm.
is. You don't have to put a label on it. You don't
Yeah.
have to put a name on it.
Mhm.
Just do what is right in
Empathy
your
means
heart.
a lot too. I mean, for a person to
And
just have
also,
empathy.
if there's ghosts or demons, call out to Jesus. You still don't have to put a name on it, but you can call out to Jesus, and Jesus will probably
Mhm.
help you. So
Now I fell
saying,
asleep
just
one
saying.
time.
Just saying, Jesus will help you.
I fell asleep one time, Punchy. I was at Conagra Foods in Milton, PA.
What
and
good
I
are
was
the cheesemakers, GRB?
Blessed are the
And,
cheese.
I fell asleep and had about a 20-minute dream of watching angels and demons fight in my sleep. I woke up before the ground opened up and swallowed the one. But I saw him falling back to earth, and I about jumped up out of bed on that. I've had some strange dreams, Punchy, and it's like, why me? Why me? I didn't ask to see aliens. I didn't ask to see ghosts. I didn't ask to have all this stuff happen to me.
Yeah.
Know?
It's like,
Yeah.
same.
Like,
And
Same
like,
with you in the house.
there's a lot of skeptical people out there, and if you haven't seen something yourself, then I absolutely do not blame you for being skeptical. Absolutely. But when you start to see stuff yourself, there's no going back. You know damn good and well what you saw.
I mean, my dreams are rarely coherent. My dreams are like a person channel surfing a TV most of the time.
Alien Women on the Moon. Have you ever seen that movie? Andrew's seen it before.
Oh man. Oh, alien women on the moon, huh?
Yeah. It's a movie with just a whole bunch of skits. Like this guy, basically the basis of it is this guy's watching TV and he gets sucked into the TV, and his wife keeps changing channels, so he keeps going to different places, and it's
No kidding. That
Wonder what's
pretty
real.
funny.
that sounds funny.
I do wonder. I really
Yeah.
do. I wonder, like, if we're actually existing or if we're in some sort of simulated reality. That's something I've been asking myself a lot lately.
Yeah, like the Matrix.
Yeah, like the Matrix.
Mandela effect.
We had that. Or somebody had that conversation somewhere.
But if I'm in the Matrix, I should be able to like fly right now,
Take the red or the blue pill.
and I can't.
You got to take the red pill, wherever the red pill is.
Yeah, right. I haven't
I don't know.
had somebody come up and ask me to take a pill versus this color versus that color, like a la Matrix. But
I mean, what if we're just a experiment by another alien race?
that's the thing, though. Like, what if we are an experiment? If we are, then we're just in some sort of.
That's one thing that I've thought. This is a
Matrix
theory
thing.
that I've thought about. And this is going back to the Sasquatch thing.
Mm-hmm.
What if, because some people think that Sasquatch are aliens or workers for the aliens. But what if
They get kidnapped
What-
by the aliens? I'll tell you.
what if the Sasquatch are the people that are meant to be here, and we are the alien experiment?
Oh, that's a good one.
You know
I mean,
what I
that kind of
because
fits
they say,
in.
that Sasquatch has a certain percentage DNA from people, but what if the aliens took the DNA from the Sasquatch and created us? Because the thing is that they fit
Hybrid
in the
programs.
natural environment that we can't survive in without our tools and stuff.
Hmm.
You know what
Have
I'm
you
saying? So what if they are the ones that actually belong here, and we are the alien experiment?
The hybrid program.
Yeah.
That's well known, but it's hush hush because of the government.
But I don't know, that was something I was thinking about the other day when I was listening to some show and they were talking about how, there's a little bit of human DNA in Sasquatch and the samples that they've taken. But what if it's because we were created out of them and not the other way around?
Well, I don't
That's
think that
interesting.
Sasquatch are taken out of us. I definitely feel like we're taking. I don't know, like the whole alien mixing the DNA with like apes or Sasquatch or whatever it is definitely makes sense. Excuse me, but I don't know. I'm still not gonna stop believing in Jesus, but like there's a whole lot of stuff going on that like everyday people don't know about, and I feel like our government is definitely hiding that from us.
people wouldn't know how to react with disclosure, man. The economy would collapse, everything would fold up. People wouldn't know
Yeah,
how to
but
deal.
would it for just a little bit for the rich people, and then everybody else that wants to be good to other people be good and actually be able to get things done if we had enough people doing good things? I think if we had enough good people doing good things, we could get it done. But we're constantly stopped from doing that.
And
I mean, if Sasquatch
It's so
are
much
the
easier. It's so much easier to be selfish and get with a group of people that also ultimately want to be selfish, not in like a minor selfish way, but in a selfish way to be able to preserve themselves in their lineage and things like that. I I just feel like we're probably being held back. I think we are.
I mean, I could believe the Sasquatches being aliens.
I don't know that the Sasquatch are aliens so much as we're derived from something more primitive. The Sasquatch evolved and we didn't. But
they're very primitive.
The thing
then
is,
we were
the Sasquatch
pushed.
are perfectly adapted to live out in the forest and winter
That's
and all that stuff, and we're the ones that can't. We're the ones that can't
yeah,
survive on
yeah.
Earth.
They
without
live off
all
the
our
land. They
tools.
know what they can use for berries or stuff to make to give themselves to cool down in the summertime or keep warm in the winter.
Yeah,
They bury up underneath them pine trees. They
I'll be
dig
right
up
back.
underneath the pine trees to stay out of weather or snow.
I mean,
There's stories of where they'll eat certain bark off of trees just to make give their
Lindsay
body
says
like
my paranormal experience deals with an evil entity. Is that allowed to be shared? Yes, it is, of course.
mother-in-laws do count. Evil mother-in-laws do count.
I mean, there's much other things that have been reported all over the world in
So if you want
swamps,
to, come up,
marshes.
Lindsay, you could come up if you want to. Just click on the
I remember
thing.
people
And
thought
if
the
you don't,
rods
want
were
to be seen, you just leave your camera off before and you could just come up and
those
talk to
little
us, or you
rods,
can
and
type it.
people thought those rods were something. It was actually a bug. Those rod videos, remember those, Punchy? People thought it was something.
Yep, I
It
do.
was actually a bug.
There is a link at the top of the chat that's pinned at the top of the chat, and you just click that and follow it. And then I see you pop up below, and I'll click on you. But before you enter the stream, it'll have a camera and mic buttons. And if you don't want to show yourself, you can always click off your camera and just talk to us.
Mm-hmm.
Totally up to you, but you can definitely come up here if you want to.
Uh-oh, I got to share the screen with Lindsay? Oh, no. No.
Yep, I have it posted on the top of the chat.
I mean, there's been other things seen, like in swamps, marshes.
Oh, I've had the uneasy feeling of things looking at me. Trust me, I've been in some areas where, man, you just the hair in the neck, it stands right up.
Yeah.
Just don't stop.
I mean,
just keep going.
I remember when I was camping on the river one time with my brother, and we heard this extremely eerie noise, and I didn't know what it was at the time. Supposedly later, my brother told me it was just a cow, but it did not sound like a cow.
No, Bigfoot will mimic anything. They'll mimic crows and birds at night. You'll get a sound that sounds like an 800-pound bird. It's not supposed to be there. Good example is the same guy I was talking to earlier about the Bigfoot video of the two fighting. He was out in his research area one night and didn't know there was a couple Bigfoot probably 200 yards away from him out in the woods doing something. And here comes these two hooligans on top of the wherever they had the houses on top of the hills, they tried to do a couple Bigfoot whoops, and all of a sudden you hear this oh coming from the Bigfoot, and that was their response to the two idiots trying to do a Bigfoot whoop. And my buddy's like, it sounded like a 800-pound crow turning into an owl and flying away. Oh man, get away from me, Lindsay. You got cooties. You got cooties. In the name of Jesus, disappear. Just kidding.
Okay, everybody be quiet because Lindsay's going to tell us her demon story.
Well, okay, sorry. So this happened a long time ago, and I was visiting my parents, and I was getting ready for bed. And anyways, I got into my bed and turned off the lights, and I shut my bedroom door. And then all of a sudden, the bedroom door opened, and I was like, "What the heck?" Got up, and I went and I closed the door, and going back to bed. And then a few minutes later, the door opens again. So I thought maybe my parents played a trick on me, but they're too old to be doing stuff like that.
Oh no.
So anyway, so I go back and I open,
Say hi.
or the door already open. So I go and I'm looking all around. There's nothing there. So I shut it again. I go back into my bed, and then I hear the door open again. This time I could feel a presence, and it was terrifying. And I just laid there, and I could hear a thumping sound, like a walk, and then like the person or whatever had a limp, and it was a heavy limp, and it kept getting closer to my bed, and I just laid there going, "Oh, please go away, just please let me be dreaming." And then all of a sudden, because I was laying on my side, and then the bed, like where my stomach is, it just like an indent, like something sat down. And I went, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. So I closed my eyes. Again, I couldn't see anything, but I could definitely feel it. And then I felt it come to my neck, and it started breathing. And then it whispered in my ear, "I will make you fall." And then it stood up, my bed went back up, and it walked right out, and the door shut. I just laid just terrified.
Yeah.
Did it sound like a one foot was heavier than the other, or like it had a peg leg or something?
Yes, there we go. Yes, just like that.
I
Yes.
gave you a reading the other night, and I was really spot on. I did too, Punchy. I gave her a reading.
It's true. It's true, he did. It's so spot on.
Yeah, I've heard stories like that where it sounds like somebody's walking with a wobble and a thump, or a thump of a cane or something. Now, Hat Man, he ain't no joke. He'll talk to you. He'll talk to you in the mind, and then supposedly the rumors that I've heard about Hat Man was he'll show you your life or something, like a movie on the wall or a door of your room or something. Or he'll change hats. He'll change appearances. That's really freaky, Lindsay.
Yeah.
Sound like a little wobble with a thump, 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 thump.
Yeah, but I didn't see anything. You know, like people see shadow people, or like it was nothing. I didn't see anything, but I definitely could feel it.
You want to join the show too? Here she is, Punchy.
There's Lucky.
Oh, that puppy.
Uh-oh.
What?
You hear that, Lucky?
What are you barking for?
You want to join the show? What do you want? You want to tell him you see ghosts too?
She's like, "Get the camera out of my face."
Hey, she just hopped up here and said, "Come on, let's."
Well,
You wanna
y'all,
go
I
lay
gotta
down?
go.
Oh.
I'm sorry, but I gotta go to bed.
It's okay.
Oh, okay, well, I
Okay.
love
Nice meeting you, Jess.
Pretty
Love
late.
to
Good seeing you, Jess.
It's good seeing y'all. I'm
All
glad I
go
could
lay down. Go
join.
lay down. It's okay. I ain't gonna be mad.
So I hope y'all have a really great night. Have a good time. Always remember, if something comes up and it's bad, just call on Jesus, whether or not you're Christian or not. You can still call on Jesus. Jesus still help you out of the worst of it. might not be like out all the way. I mean, I think it kind of depends on your faith level there, because you
So
can't just be like,
which do you believe is most powerful? Like if you needed to cleanse your house, to do like holy water and a priest, or do like sage it?
I probably, if I had to do it personally, I'd make my own holy water and do it.
See, I'd sage it first.
I got sage.
No, with sage though,
You can
with
actually sage
you got to
yourself,
be
too.
careful. No, you got to be careful with sage, because depending on the type of sage and how you use it, you can cleanse the good and bad energies.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to cleanse out the bad energies. So it would depend on what's going on. I definitely research it and see, but I mean, I've had a lot of different paranormal experiences, I guess, and you really got to cater it to what you're doing. But I'm just saying, like, bare bones, it comes down to you're having a paranormal experience. You're not just trying to cleanse a new house or whatever. But let's say something happens and it's not going good. Just call on Jesus real quick. Jesus will help you. I'm not saying that Jesus is gonna be able to cleanse your house of all the demon spirits. If you're just like, hey, I remember that video with Just Shrink Granny on Punchy Stream, and she was like, call on Jesus, and I call on Jesus. Like, he's not gonna probably cleanse your whole house because of like you saw this stream and that's why you're calling on Jesus. Like, that's not the thing. But I'm saying bare bones, call on him. It's not gonna hurt you if you need him. Um, but like if you do need more than that, maybe do a little bit of research and see. Don't just, people are cleansing their houses like all over the places. But a new age thing that's been happening for a really, really a long time, and a lot of people don't actually understand what they're doing. They're going through the ritual, they're doing the ritual, they're doing the steps, but they're not understanding everything that they are doing with those steps. And that's not great, because not only are you getting rid of the bad spirits, but you're also getting rid of the good spirits that could help you.
Yeah. I felt like when
So,
I was living in that house, and this is going to sound stupid to a lot of people, but I felt, it was just my deep feeling, that the cat protected me
yeah, cats,
from
yeah,
from the bad stuff that was in the hallway. Like the ghost cat
that's
protects me
St. Francis.
from something
Yeah.
that was in the hallway that was bad.
That's St. Francis right there. Animals are really good at trying to help people
So when
protect themselves
my
from
daughter-in-law
spirits.
walked around with the Bible and blessed the house, it got rid of everything, including the cat. And I didn't really want to get rid of the cat. So I kind of know what you're talking about there.
Well, I mean,
But then everything came back about a month later with a vengeance, including the cat too. But the cat took longer to come back than the other stuff did.
right, yeah. See, you gotta, it's
Gotta
like
have faith behind it,
getting
because if
rid
you just
of
use sage
bad
and holy
stuff
waters, you're
takes
just gonna make it mad, mad, mad.
I
Gotta
mean,
have strong faith.
I don't think you just need some holy water and just need to get it mad, mad, mad. I think you need to understand like what you're doing a little bit.
Yeah. See, if I was going to
It's
do it over again now, I would use sage and salt and bless the house with sage and salt.
Yeah, it's you have to do it in a certain way to get rid of things. And I'm not blaming people for people not having the knowledge to know how to do this. I'm not saying, oh, you know what, you're a bad person for not knowing this. You're a bad person for not knowing that. You're a bad person for not doing that. You're a bad person for not knowing that. that's not what I'm saying. Like, you have to what do I want to say? Like,
Right.
spirits are complicated. Demons are complicated. You can't just use one thing and expect it to get rid of all of it. But maybe if you're in a place where you don't know what else to do, you start here, and then you say, okay, you know what, that worked. Maybe I look towards that resource more. What else can I get from that resource? What else can help me in that way? And that's what I'm saying. I'm not saying that someone that doesn't call on Jesus can't get rid
June
of
kind of
a
summed up what I
spirit.
believe. It's the intention you have that makes it work. Whether
Yeah.
you use holy
Yeah.
water or whether you use sage, it's your intention and belief that it's going to work.
The whole time.
It's going to make it work.
Yeah, the whole time I was a pagan, the whole time I was a witch, it's the intention
Yeah.
that
Yep.
feeds the action, and which is the same thing as a
I
prayer.
know.
A spell is nothing other than a very specific prayer, and a lot of people don't understand that. It's not. It's not me just saying this sort of thing. It's the intention that's behind it that drives it and that feeds that power. The thing that it is what are you choosing to have feed that power? Like, what's your other source? And that's a thing. That's the thing. It took me a long time to figure out what am I using for my power source. It's not that I'm a Christian now and all I do is pray and my prayers aren't as powerful as my spells. That's not how it works at all. If anyone thinks that my prayers to the Christian God aren't as strong as my pagan prayers, they're mistaken. It's it's how you use it. It's how you pray. It's how it's the intent behind that
Yeah.
spell.
It's the intent and your belief that makes it strong. Whichever way,
Exactly.
whichever route you choose to go, it is your intent, your
Exactly.
beliefs that are going to make it work or not work.
That's what I'm saying.
I've always believed that cats are like the guardians of the underworld.
Yeah,
Yeah.
cats can be like any.
Well, that ghost cat, I got quite attached to it after a while. I mean, it was always purring and always friendly and playing around the floor of my room. And
Yeah.
I just, like I say, after a while, there was something at night that was bad in the hallway, just this really bad, heavy feeling in the hallway. And I just got to where I believed that the cat being in my bedroom at night, the ghost cat being in my bedroom at night, protected me from whatever it was that was in the hallway. If that makes sense at all.
It does. It's not just like I have ghost cats. I have ghost dogs that visit me and come and see me and stuff like that. I just don't want people thinking that you have to pick one way to be. You can believe in the paranormal. You can be against this. You can be against that. And you can be all of that and still, like, I don't know. I found a lot of power in my faith in Christianity. I'm not trying to preach that out there. Well, I guess I am kind of trying to preach that out there and hope others find strength in Christianity
Well,
ultimately.
thanks for coming up, Lindsay, and you're welcome to come back up if you want to.
But I'm just saying, you don't have to. It's all, like, my belief has always been all gods are one god, all goddesses are one goddess. It all equals up to one specific thing. So if you're having trouble with lost objects, or if you're having trouble with ghosts, or if you're having trouble like with your like pet getting out of your yard or whatever, you can call on specific things for help with that. But just, I don't know, the world's all mixed up. I feel like we should ultimately just work for the ultimate good of people. Like, just let's all try to make it as good as we can.
Yeah.
I can get behind that.
Well, I'm
You know?
I'm a firm believer that people need, whether you're Christian or whatever, you need to have empathy for other people.
Yeah, just stand up for people who can't help themselves. You know, stand up for those that need you to stand up for them if you can, and just do your best.
Mm-hmm.
Just do your best.
That's all you can do at the end of the day.
Yeah, really. I mean, that's, you know, you can call it whatever you want. Just do your best to help others. If you see somebody that needs help them out if you can. If you can't, if it's obviously a dangerous situation, maybe don't help them, but pray for them to get some help. You know, maybe you can't go help that person right now, but maybe somebody else can. You know, it's just, there's a lot messed up with this world.
Yeah, we
Oh yeah.
got so
It's
much
really
hate in
messed up.
America right now. It's unbelievable.
Oh my
We
gosh. Let me tell
got
you.
people trying to fly Palestinian flags on U.S. buildings.
Yeah, it's not getting
That's
to that.
that's as far as I'll go with that. There's
Well,
just too much.
No.
thank you for coming up, Lindsay, and you're welcome up anytime. I mean, you can come back up and just sit with us if you want to.
There's a lot messed up right now. Like, first of all, we should be working towards not having any wars at all. That would be the best. Second of all, there's a whole lot of stuff going on, and I just feel like we're just being manipulated.
Oh, we are 100%.
And just so many people are, and it's so messed up. We can't, like, even if you look, even
I
if
mean,
you try to
that's all I'll
find
say.
alternate
We are being
sources.
manipulated. I mean, that's all I'll say. But that we are.
Yeah, for sure. I agree with that 100%. Just try to do your best to help others whenever you can. I think that's the best thing anybody can do. Just try to do your best. Do what you can when you can. Do what you can when you can. It's a fucked up world out there. It's not getting any better for the little people at all. Because, you know, day to day, people that we're living our everyday lives and everything, and just trying to do our best, but it's just a
Lindsay
lot of
says
stuff.
Andrew is a handsome fellow.
Uh-oh.
Well, I'm gonna go
Okay,
sleep.
yeah, you were going to leave
Yep.
a long time ago, and then I stopped you with a question. So
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
It's okay, Punchy.
Just, I don't know.
I was
I
waiting
just
for you
want
to drown me while I was on the panel.
everybody out there, everybody listen, everybody watching. Just do what you can when you can. You know, you don't have to be a superhero to help somebody. You know, just assess the situation, see if it's a safe enough situation for you to help, and do what you can when you can. That's all we can do. You know, just do your best. That's
Yep.
That's all we can do, man. That's fucked up.
I have socks older than you, Andrew.
I'd love to talk about ghosts and,
Oh yeah,
and stuff like
69-year-old
that,
sock.
but do what you can when you can, everybody. Love you guys.
Love
Bye.
you.
Thanks for coming up, Jess. I love seeing you.
Good to see you,
Yeah,
Jess.
sorry I got so serious. I really feel bad about that, but I also want everybody to do what they can when they can.
Mhm.
Like, it's important. It's an important thing to do. Like, if somebody is messed up or having a rough time and you can help them, just help them out. Like, as long as it's a safe scenario. I'm not saying like just go out there and get yourself murdered trying to help people. But just do what you can when you can.
Yep.
Ah,
Mm-hmm.
that was pretty interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, cats go back into the biblical days as protectors from mummies, even.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
spirits. And
Yeah, I think the Egyptians believed that they could travel back and forth between the two worlds.
Yeah.
now
Mhm.
hellhounds, that is a they are the guardians of the undead cemeteries and church cemeteries.
Yeah.
What-
Now I wish we
what
could
you-
get Sharpie up on here sometime. He's one of our friends. He's from England and he's had experiences seeing hellhounds.
You are not supposed to look them in the eyes. If you look them in the eyes 3 different times, you're supposed to die an untimely death.
Yeah.
Hmm.
That's from what I've heard.
But
I had a buddy that
he's another one I'd love to get up here, but he being from England, our time schedules are so far different that we were never able to make it happen.
So you die an untimely death, and
yes, that's the story that I have never seen one. I had a buddy that swore he came across one driving his truck. It just ran across the yard and went into the cemetery or something. I told him, whatever you do, don't look in the eyes.
Well, I've
Don't
heard a
look
lot of
in-
people say you aren't supposed to look Sasquatch in the eyes either.
That's a challenging threat.
night, Jess.
Yes.
That's you're challenging them by looking them in the eyes.
Yeah.
And they'll they'll bluff charge you or do something to get
Well,
you. out of there.
that's the same thing with grizzly bears. You don't look grizzly bears in the eyes.
Yeah.
You look towards the ground and
Yeah, and you better know the difference between your bears because a black bear, you need to like act like you're bigger than it and be loud and act like you're big, like make motions where you're big, and that'll usually scare them off. But a grizzly bear is the opposite. You don't want to do that with grizzly bear because you're challenging them. You don't want to look them in the eye and you want to back away slowly.
and
Mhm.
especially
you don't want to. You want to make yourself look small and insignificant with a grizzly bear. You don't want to look like you're big.
especially a black mama bear with cubs. You're pretty much done at that point.
Yeah.
Your food on the table. Forget
Well,
trying to.
Actually,
I
just as dangerous as like a bear with cubs is a bear that is guarding a kill. Because like a grizzly bear will cover up their like if they killed elk or something, they'll cover it up with brush and then they'll lay a little ways off and guard it to come back to it to eat more
And they'll
later.
come back later.
And
Just
if
like in
you,
that
if
1976
you
movie
happen into
Grizzly.
the area and they think you're getting too close to that kill, it is just as dangerous as how with cubs. They will kill you to protect their food.
Yep. Yep. Just stay the hell away from bears.
Yeah, that's a good rule of thumb. Stay the hell away from bears. There's a thing
Now, I
going
had a
around.
buddy of-
There's a thing going around the internet now. Is it safer to which we won't get into, but is it safer to run for a woman to run into a man out in the woods or a bear? And a lot of women say, I'd rather take the bear.
Now, I
Hmm.
had a buddy of mine had a black bear running when he was up in driving for Warner. They used to do that Walmart dedicated at Toma, Wisconsin. And he was at the back of the store banging on the doors and nobody could hear him. And he said he heard this behind him. It was a black bear. He took off and ran one way. The bear took off and ran the other. They scared each other.
Yeah.
That was a lucky. He got away lucky on that one because they usually attack you. Black bears don't. They're about 4.5, 5 foot tall. Don't run towards me, Lindsay. I'm no help. Just keep running. Run to the next man. Skip me. This is fun, Punchy. This is real fun. You haven't drowned me yet. I'm surprised. Look, it looks like you got to sit down, girl. Sit.
Whoever did that, TJ, was very lucky. Because if there was a bear cub, there was likely a mama close by.
Yes. You might not see her, but she was close by.
Yeah. So what else have you run into on the road that gave you pause? That made you stop and say, what the hell?
Probably the oddest thing is those shapes, as I was talking about earlier. The rectangles, the little shapes and stuff come flying up out of the road and just shoot off. Okay. I'm like, okay.
Okay.
There's so much stuff out there. I haven't seen any little people or gnomes or anything, but I saw pictures at the Bigfoot Conference of people showing me little people and gnomes running around their house. One got a nice
I've heard of that too. I've heard of them.
Mm-hmm.
One of the ladies that I met from the chat, from the chat group I was with from the one guy's channel, showed me pictures, and you can actually see the top of the red hat. I was like, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, there's another one I can't chalk up or explain. I mean, what do you do? I mean, you just can't say I'm losing my mind if somebody shows you a picture of it.
And fairies.
Little people
and fairies are supposed to be mean little bastards.
I've heard that too. Little people are really nasty.
Yep, I've heard that too. And fairies are really nasty.
You can't go up into their territory or don't follow them, because that's another thing I've heard too. Don't follow
And
them.
there's a lot of people that thoroughly believe, and I think it's the thing that isn't going to hurt anything. If you think you're living in an area where there's fairies or little people, you don't take anything out of the woods without giving a gift in return and asking permission.
That is correct. Yeah, you don't want to take something and not give something back. Good. I'll give you a good paranormal story. This goes back out there by Georgia and Florida. A doctor from Chicago built a house, a very weird satanic house out there. And it was, I can't remember. They were both killed. The dogs were shot and killed. Him and his lover were killed. It was something murder castle out there. And people were driving out there, taking bricks, taking stuff from the house. And they wound up actually bringing it back because some of them had some bad accidents. I mean, some really bad car accidents and stuff that they shouldn't have walked away from. And they actually brought it back. And left it there. I guess
Yep.
people were just looking for souvenirs. But the guy was had a family. He was in his 50s or 60s. Was gay, I guess, and had a lover on the side. So he decided to build this really strange house out in the middle of the woods out there by Georgia and Florida state line, and he wound up being killed. It was a real weird story about that place. But the ironic thing was, people would, like I said, people would drive out there, go steal the bricks from the house, still try and take souvenirs, and bad things happen to them.
I've heard that happening when people take like rocks or stuff from graveyards too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, never.
They'll bring it back.
That's like in Hawaii with people taking the stuff that occurs after.
Never urinate on a grave either. Never hit the tree first. Never urinate on somebody's grave.
The stuff that there's just stuff in Hawaii. They called it like angel hair or something. And supposedly, if you take it back, you will be cursed.
Yeah. Andrew, how many strange encounters have you had on the roads in Wisconsin?
None, really. Even though I drove past Bray Road for 9.5 years, that is really dogman territory. There's a place that we would come up from Omaha. We would come up 39 and take 43, get off at one of the exits, 26 or 28, and we would go east. It's Highway 11 and 14. You'd follow that around, take you through a small couple towns, and then Bray Road ran at a 45-degree angle. I've been through there day, night, fog, never saw anything. Now, Dogman, other territory is Defiance, Ohio, off of that 2-lane road. I've spent a couple nights out there at a really old cold storage facility, and that fog rolled in one night, and it was really weird, and I'm like, I ain't paying attention to this. I went to bed and laid down, and nothing happened. You just never know in them kind of situations what you're going to run into. I mean,
Yeah.
I've slept in some
Like
areas
Dogman around like Estes Park and stuff too in Colorado, in the Rockies.
the last Bigfoot reports I heard is people seeing them running up and down Pikes Peak. The Bigfoot going up and down Pikes Peak. That's another thing too. I've never heard Dogman by Estes Park, but
I have heard of Dogman by Estes Park, and then there's on the mountain range in between like Estes Park and the Wyoming border. There was some people hiking with a young boy. He was like 11 or 12, I think. And he was running ahead of the parents, and he came across this old man that was hiking, and they hiked together for a while. And then he ran on ahead of him, and there was some young girls that were hiking, and he talked to them for a little bit and then kept going. And then everybody heard some really awful howling and stuff coming from the mountains up ahead of them. And everybody turned back, but the little boy never came back, and they were never able to find him.
There's so much. I've heard so much. Even Provo Canyon in Utah is a big football Bigfoot area. I tried to say that backwards. Bigfoot area, especially along the Wasatch Trail, where they had the Spanish Fork fires a few years ago, flushed everything out of there. They're even out there in California, out there by Edwards Air Force Base. There's even a Air Force training video about them chasing them off when planes come in and land, because at the time, Edwards Air Force Base was a backup for the space shuttle. If they couldn't land anywhere else, they would go to Edwards.
Yeah. And people don't realize, like in Alabama and places like that, where people still live up in the hills a lot, they just accept Bigfoot as a fact. They don't even, there's no discussion. They call them boogers, and they're just there, and everybody knows it. So.
I usually use that in the South too. I've heard them call them boogers or
boogers. Yeah, and they say
wood booger. The wood booger is another legend.
Yeah, you don't go out at night because the booger will get you.
Boogeyman will get you. Yeah, I've heard that too.
That turned into the boogeyman will get you. Yeah, and it started with the boogers. The booger will get you.
I live off I-55 and I-80 in Illinois. So there's a ghost who hitchhikes riding vehicles with a single male driver over off of I-80
I
Mm,
have
two-
heard of Resurrection Mary. I've heard the story before of that.
Yes.
Okay.
People have given her
Interesting.
rides back to the cemetery and she'd get out of the car and disappear.
Yeah.
A good story on Unsolved Mysteries. Me and my dad were watching it one night. We were always big in we saw the Phoenix Light episode. We saw the Resurrection Mary episode. We saw the Sierra Sounds. We saw everything. This one guy met her at a party, matter of fact, and gave her his jacket and went back to the house to try and get the jacket back. And she'd been dead, or I shouldn't say that, she'd been deceased for over 20 years. She was killed in a car accident, I
Yeah.
believe.
Illinois.
Resurrection Mary.
Illinois.
Bachelor Grove Cemetery, that's a whole nother area. That's where the mafia, Al Capone, and them dumped bodies back in the day. And there's actually a supposed ghost house out there. The closer you get, the further it gets. You can run out there and try and catch up to that house, and it just disappears and moves around. It's highly guarded by police and local sheriff's departments because of all the nonsense that's happened out there. I watched, I think it was Ghost Hunters or somebody was out there one time and they had permits to be out there. And they were trying to chase that ghost house out there at Bachelor's Grove. But they dumped bodies there back in the day for Al Capone and them. Now, since we're talking about Chicago, I'm going to push deeper. H.H. Holmes Murder Castle. The remainders of that, they built a post office above the basement. And the chilling reports about people hearing moaning and ghosts and stuff down there in that basement.
There we go.
The guy that's related to H.H. Holmes came up with theory of him being Jack the Ripper from Europe, then coming over here. He would kill people and turn around and sell their skeletons for science.
Yeah. Yeah. He owned like a hotel or something, and he killed a lot of people.
Two girls got it real bad. They got acid baths. That's the real sad tragedy there.
I've heard something like that.
Yeah, he was America's first serial killer. Yeah, Chicago. I don't know. Then you had Ed Gein from Wisconsin. He would make skull soup bowls and eat soup out of your skull, or made skin socks and gloves, and then made nipple belt rings or something like that. That's a whole weird thing.
Oh, the Winchester House is fascinating.
Yeah. People still go out there and visit it and still see people building on the house.
Doors going to nowhere.
The Amityville house is something now. There's another good buddy of mine that name is Sean Austin. He used to do the TV show on the travel channel called Haunted Travels. And he's gone out there, investigated. They actually let him in the house, and then he's actually sat out in the street and got EVPs from George Lutz and Butch DeFeo. And he went back another time and got the little voice of John Matthew. And he asked him, "Is that you in the picture?" He says, "No, that's not me." So that Amityville ghost picture is actually a demon or somebody else pretending to be John Matthew. I don't know how many times I looked at that picture and I got the chills. It's like
Yeah.
And then at the time it was taken, nobody was in the house.
Yeah.
That was a camera set upstairs to snap pictures like that. The Hillside Strangler, I heard last week or something, that was possibly a duel, two guys. Then you had the Zodiac Killer, the Son of Sam. See, half this stuff either happened before I was born or after I was born, and I was still a baby. D.B. Cooper. That's
I
a
remember,
rabbit hole.
that. I was around for that.
The rabbit hole behind that was they worked for him and a couple other guys worked for the railroads. And when the airline industry started being a boom, it started putting the rail industry out of business, so that he hijacked a couple of them planes so it would hurt them. Then he jumped out of a 727 at 10,000 feet off a ramp.
Yeah.
The only people that actually knew that were the military people because they used them in Vietnam to ferry troops and people around.
What are you doing, Kitty?
There's so much stuff out there, Punchy. It just depends. Knock it off, Lucky. Now, Eli, Nevada, they out there off of 80. You got that old Chief
Oh,
Hostess
look at
house,
that
that old
grasshopper.
house out of mud and bottles and stuff. That's a historic landmark.
That's almost 2 years.
Yeah, awesome. Meow.
I am not a baby. You're gonna get it. You're gonna get it if I ever go through Utah.
I've got kids your age, Andrew. So
Yeah.
I've just watched so much stuff over the years. Trash Cat.
All right, at least you look it. I'm 31, but I look like I'm 21.
Now, the last time, here's something freaky. And I talked to the owner of the Bel Air house, and I know her pretty well. And I've talked to her on TikTok and Facebook. And the last time Sean Austin was in that Bel Air house, it was pretty messed up. The spirits are messed up. Everything in the house is messed up. And you can hear the spirits say my name through that ghost EVP, ghost box that he had. He said, Andrew.
Huh.
I'm pretty well known on the spirit on the other side because of my abilities and such. So it's not odd that a location will reach out to you. There's a school in Ohio called the Pottstown School, and the kids, every once in a while you'll hear a kid go, "Hi, Andrew," or another time he caught an EVP. Eric caught an EVP as one of the kids asking, "Where's Lucky?" And I said in the chat, I said, "She is sleeping behind me." So spirits can watch you through a live stream whether you know it or not.
oh, I believe that. Yeah.
If you fall asleep, I'll tell you a real bad example. Not to fall asleep during a live stream. I fell asleep during a live stream of the Chronicle of the Horsefly House, and I was in San Francisco. This was the dream. I was in San Francisco. The brakes failed on the truck. I couldn't stop the truck from rolling backwards, and I finally, about the time I was getting ready to grab the dog and jump out of the truck, I was down in my boxers grabbing Lucky in my sleep and ready to jump out of a parked truck. You do not, never ever want to fall asleep during a live stream from a very wicked haunted location.
What is your cat's name, Derek?
This is Luna. I got her a while back from a coworker.
Oh, it's coming probably Tuesday. I've been trying to get to the post office, and there's only one taxi in town. And I think they just had their phone off for quite a while. I think they took a vacation, just didn't say anything. And then the last couple days I've gotten a hold of them, but both days they were like booked solid until after the post office closed. So I'm going to try again Tuesday. What I am anxious for you to get, June, is the Oscar drawing, because I think you are going to love it so much. But they're both packed up together.
I assume you're.
Can we see her belly?
What?
They want to see her belly.
Her belly? I don't know. Let's see.
There's a kitty belly. She doesn't look very happy.
No.
She doesn't look happy to show her belly.
So I'm assuming. So did your? I'm assuming your truck has bit the dust. Pam?
What?
I'm assuming that your truck.
Yeah,
that's-
my truck has bit the dust.
Oh, okay.
Oh no! It finally bit the dust, huh? You drowned the truck.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
I wasn't sure because I've been off and on, but I'd figured.
Yeah, no, I'm like resorting. I have to get around by taxi and stuff now.
Oh man.
There's only one taxi service in Laramie, and it's a husband and wife team, but I think right now only the husband's driving for some reason. It sounds like they only have one taxi working right now. And I went almost a couple weeks, kept trying to call him, and it wouldn't even go through. I think their phone was turned off, so I think they must have taken some days off. But yeah, it's coming. I'm so thankful everybody's had patience with me, but they are coming.
Mm-hmm. No problems. My hair is cute. I don't.
That's that. Yeah, that's. Maybe they shut the phone off because they had enough.
I need to get I need to cut my hair. It's getting
There's
too
another
long.
taxi service in town, but they only operate from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. They're like nighttime, picking up the bar crowd and stuff. So that doesn't do me any good when I need to go to the post office. And I checked Uber, and it said the Uber's not available. And then when I pushed the button to check the price to go from my house to the post office, which is only like maybe 3 miles, it said $58 for one way.
Mhm.
And I was going, son of a bitch, no. It'd be like $116 for a round trip to go to the post office. I don't think so.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy.
Mhm.
That's nuts. Yeah, everything's getting ridiculous.
Yeah.
I was telling you earlier, it cost me about over $108 just to get $65 worth of groceries for my stupid truck.
Yeah.
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 That's just for a week. That's not even for 2.
Yeah. I know I order groceries to get delivered, and it's like $50 doesn't get you shit. I mean, absolutely nothing for $50.
Yeah, you said that. Yeah.
Yeah. Everything's going up. Fast food, groceries, gas. Ridiculous.
Oh, yeah. We've been going like 2.5 hours. Are you guys getting tired?
I'm on my days off.
Oh, lucky. Because we could come back another night if Andrew was up to it. We could do next weekend.
I don't know where I'm going to be.
That's true. But it's up to you guys. We still got, what do we got? 13 people watching still. We were up over 20, so we lost some, but not a lot.
They probably fell asleep or got bored with I
Yeah,
don't know.
well, yeah, it's getting late.
They
so.
probably got tired of the alien stuff, and some of the stuff just goes over their heads, you know.
Well, a lot of people are skeptical, and like I say, I don't blame anybody for being skeptical if you haven't seen something happen yourself.
Mhm.
But once you do see it happen, then you're not a skeptic anymore.
That's what I've heard. I've yet to actually see anything, but I hear plenty of stuff.
Well, the thing is that once you experience it yourself, it's just there's no backtracking back to being a skeptic.
A loaf of bread, yeah. I
How
think it's
about
like $3.99 or something for what I get.
let's see. Yeah, back when I worked for Family Dollar, I think the bread was going like $3.65 or $3.85, something like that.
Yeah, everything is just so high.
It's just
So
nuts.
some stuff is dropping down a little bit though, because milk for a while was over $4 a gallon, and now it's back down to like $3.50 a gallon.
Yeah, I think it's down like $2.75 here now. Or something like that.
Oh, you pulled a Pleco cave out of the oven. That's cool.
That's cool.
I know the egg prices have been fluctuating.
Yeah, they were like super, super expensive for a while, and now they're a little bit more reasonable.
I think there was like a scare with the chickens or something. Not sure.
I don't know, but there for a while, like a dozen eggs was over $6.
Yeah.
Now it's
Wow.
back down.
It's
Now it's
over
back down to where
15
it's
for
like
a
two
dozen.
something.
Those big old stacked dozen egg, about $15 or so.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember back in the day going to the grocery store with my mom, we'd get two carts full.
And that was usually $150, $200. Now it's almost
Yeah,
like,
it's like nowadays that'd be probably like $400, $500.
Yeah.
Hawaii and Alaska.
Well, I'm older than you guys. I remember when I first moved out on my own, you could get a whole cart full of groceries. It was like about $80.
Mm-hmm. Hell, $50 you barely get just enough to sustain on.
Yeah, exactly. For $50, you're lucky if you can get one package of meat and make something.
Yeah. I think, matter of fact, I used to go with my mom. This is going to sound funny. She would go shopping, and I would go to the toy aisle, and I would get out those plastic Army green trucks and the tanks and start a war in the damn toy aisle.
Yeah.
My mom's like, you shouldn't be playing down there. That floor is dirty, Andrew. Well, I came with you. You didn't say nothing about having to follow you around or be in the shopping cart. Apparently, when I was a baby and we went shopping, she came home with packs of cigarettes. She don't know where they came from. Apparently, I picked them up and put them in the purse.
Oh.
Ah, yes. The baby did it. Mm-hmm.
Lindsay, you had the Google eyes when you was looking at my beard. I saw you. It's like, I want to grab his beard.
Okay, we're going to have a vote, panel and chat. Should we close the stream off or should we keep going for a while? We've been going for 2 hours and 41 minutes, which doesn't bother me a bit.
That time flew, man.
Yeah, it was fun.
It was fun. Some of the stuff got into some woo and.
Yeah, but it was a lot of fun.
I mean, I'm good to go on if y'all are.
Here, Lindsay, I'm scratching my beard for you. Told you it was long.
Yeah.
No, go. Only Oscars wants us to keep going.
Oh, we can go for a while longer. We could go for another 20 minutes and make it an even 3 hours.
Stay a little longer. What do you
Mhm.
think, Lindsay? Should we stay a little longer just for you? I'll throw you under the bus on that one. You think we should stay, Lindsay?
Palmer Aquatics. Hello.
Palmer Aquatics, hello.
Hello, Palmer Aquatics. Yeah, now to let you guys know, how I found Punchy was because she was a mod on another channel, and I started hanging out with her fish and her bird friends, and it went from there. So I'm sober tonight, so you don't have to worry about me passing out on the live. So
Yeah, he started coming to my streams, but yeah, I mod on which some of you will know the channel and some of you won't, but I know I mod on the King Frostmore channel.
What?
King
why you
Frostmore.
put this on me, Andrew?
It's a paranormal channel.
I thought you said.
King Frostmare.
I thought you said King Crossplay. I'm like, what?
No, King Frostmare.
Bunch of scary videos. Some of it's iffy, and some of it I can't debunk.
But he's a big channel. He's got well over a couple 100,000 people, I think, sub to him. And Trash Cat too, also mods, and
Oh
so
yeah,
does Hopper
I've known everybody for a while. My gosh.
and Cat.
Mojo
Alright.
was in earlier. I don't know. I guess we drove him off, or he did other thing. So where are you taking me for dinner, Lindsay? No Mexican. I already had Mexican food. Been about $200 2 weeks unless I'm getting.
So have you ever seen any Bigfoot when you're out driving? When you've been out driving truck?
No, I kind of had an encounter there at the museum, like I said at the beginning of the stream 2 hours ago. I didn't see him, but I'm pretty sure they ran by. It was a very, very weird. It was a very weird, beautiful energy. It's like we came by to see you. You're no harm, and they left.
Yeah.
You're some jokester. We got no problem with you.
I saw one night when I was working in Cheyenne, and I got off work about 11, 12 o'clock usually at night. And when I left the store, there was a snowstorm, a really good snowstorm. And I almost got run off the road by a truck because he passed me like half in my lane, and I had to get way over on the shoulder, or he would have just like creamed me totally. So when I got to the exit to take Happy Jack Road and take the back road, which comes out.
I know that road.
Yeah. Yeah, it comes out by the statue of Lincoln there on the top of the
Yeah, I know that area.
Yeah. Well, I took that road, and the freeway ended up getting closed, but the Happy Jack Road was still open. But when I got to the that recreational area and where the Medicine Bow National Forest starts, from that point on, there was no tire tracks or anything in the snow. So I was out in the national forest. And I was making the first tire tracks, and it was about 8-10 inches deep. I had to stop. And lock the hubs in on my truck.
I've heard a lot. That's a good roadside sighting. I've heard many other reports from listening to other shows to where they were coming around the curve fast and they couldn't stop in time, so they either hit it.
Yeah, well, what happened with me, I was only going like 20 miles an hour because I had it locked in 4-wheel drive low, but I was coming around a curve and dropping down a hill at the same time. And the headlights, as I came around the curve, the headlights hit a Sasquatch standing in the road down at the bottom of the hill in front of me.
There is that dash cam video of that officer. Him and a friend were driving home after some police dinner, and that thing cleared the road in 3 strides.
Yeah.
And he stopped and he turned around. What in the hell was that?
Yeah, well, I saw it, like I say, it was lit up in the headlights just real briefly. And it scared the shit out of me because I couldn't stop because there was too much snow. If I would have stopped, I would have been stuck because I just had to keep going slower. I would have gotten stuck. So you know how it is when you're driving in deep snow. You can't stop. You just
I'm usually, well, I'm not reckless, but I usually push it with the big truck. As long as you got your foot on the accelerator, you got momentum.
Yeah, that's the same way with my 4-wheel drive truck. Like I said, but I had it locked in 4-wheel drive low, so I couldn't go more than like 20 miles an hour. But I didn't want to stop because there's just no way I would have been stuck instantly because the snow was pretty deep, and there's no other tire track. It's like 1 o'clock in the morning. But by the time I got down to the bottom of the hill, he was gone. So that was a good thing. But yeah, it scared the shit out of me. And then I totally forgot about it. That's the weird thing. I got home. I never told anybody nothing because I totally forgot about it. I mean, I totally forgot about seeing that Sasquatch until one day I was on the computer and on some site I saw the drawing of the back of a Sasquatch. And then it was like my memory just came back like a wham of seeing that Sasquatch that night.
Now I haven't had any friends that it's happened to, but I've heard other trucker encounters hitting and killing Bigfoot and wrecking the trucks out, and the government will come out and grab the bodies and say, "Do not say anything."
Yep, I've heard that too. Yep, keep your mouth shut.
Bad things will happen to you and your family.
Yep, exactly. I've heard that a lot too. The old Men in Black thing.
Gallup, New Mexico's got skinwalkers, and they got truck stops there. I've never run into anything. Now I had a guy come up to me. It scared the living crap out of me one night. It was a native Indian. You could tell he wasn't had issues with whatever addiction, alcohol or whatever.
Ooh.
And you could tell somebody worked him over with a bat or something. I mean, he was messed up, and I gave him a couple bucks. But you just never know what you're going to run in out there.
Yeah. Well, the skinwalkers are like witch doctors, like Navajo witch doctors. So it's the witchcraft thing, and it can be like really bad, like bad.
I heard another thing about that too, where they'll take over the
I've-
souls of other spirits or something wandering around, and
Yeah.
I just never give them rides, never give them a look in the face. The same thing with black-eyed kids and the white-eyed kids. The clothing is out of style. They'll ask for a ride, or they'll ask to come in the house. Do not let them in the house. Do not let them in the
Yep.
car. You'll either have something bad happen at the house, or you'll have a car accident and they'll disappear.
Or you'll get really, really sick. Like,
Oh, come on, Lindsay. I don't want you to paint that blush on. Come on now. I know you didn't get up here just to see me.
I mean, I don't want anything to do with anything that has skin as the first part of their name. That just sounds wrong. They went down from 70.
Now,
to
I
30.
did have I ran into a trucker down there at the Blue Beacon Truck Wash in Kansas City, Missouri, and he had a little capuchin monkey. And he showed me the paperwork on that damn thing, and he had to have the rabies shots, he had the inoculations and paperwork that thick. The thing was jumping around with a baby diaper on, and I was laughing my butt off. I did hit a deer last year. I didn't want to talk about it because I haven't had any flashbacks of it since then, but I did for a couple of days. It messed me up. It's coming through Evanston in that S curve. I was doing about 68, 70 mile an hour. Somehow a doe wandered up on the road and she didn't know where to go. And I said, about that time, I said, don't run out in front of me, and kapow.
yep, I did that pulling into Scappoose, Oregon. I was going to stop and help my mom with something. I grew up in Scappoose, Oregon. And it was 2 lanes or four lane roads just at the city limits. And there was a Suburban right next to me, a black Suburban, like maybe half a car length ahead of me. And I noticed that they tapped their brakes. I took my foot off the gas, and a doe jumped out from the front of them right smack in front of me, and I hit her.
Never slow down, never flash your eye.
And I felt so bad, and her legs were broken, and she crawled off into the trees on the side of the road.
Well, this
And
one,
when I got to my mom's house, I called the sheriff because I wanted somebody to go put her out of her misery. She had 2 fawns with her too.
Oh,
somebody
But
got
I wanted somebody to go take care of her, so she wasn't suffering. And I left my mom's house like 2 hours later, and she was still there. They had never gone out there.
Luckily, because it was a head-on collision. I mean, I hit her dead on in the middle of my truck. It tore out my cruise control. It tore out the crash sensor.
Oh crap! No, I just had like
they had to give me a new grill.
My whole hood was all bent up, and my bumper. But my brother-in-law was at the house, and he took my hood off and jumped up and down on it, straightened it up enough to where I could shed it again and put it back on, because my hood was like a mess. But I hit her like with the front bumper and broke her legs, and she kind of half fell up on top of the hood. I was only going like 40 miles an hour though, or it probably would have done a lot more damage than that.
mm-hmm. Yeah.
But like I say, I just gotten into the city limits, so I had my foot off the gas.
Oh, we got them in Nebraska. We got Bigfoot in Nebraska. I've seen and heard reports of them dumpster diving in Lincoln.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of stories of them dumpster diving too.
York area, Nebraska, Grand Island, Nebraska, and up on the northeast side up there along 29 there towards the Indian reservations. Plenty of sightings out there. And
Yeah, I've heard that there's sightings here in Laramie, like along the against the Snowy Range Mountains,
yes,
along the Laramie River, and the railroad track goes there, and the railroad workers say they see them along the river there where there's no houses and stuff. But the railroad guys see them when they go by.
Interesting.
But then, like I say, I saw one in the Medicine Bow Forest. So
they're down there in Kansas along the I-35 toll road. I've heard reports of them. Trucker pulled over and had to go use the bathroom or something, and there's a juvenile right there. Because they got down there in Kansas, they got those cattle pens along the road so you can let your cattle out, stretch your legs, because they're not supposed to be in there in them trailers for more than 3 or 4 days, or they'll tip over and you can't get up.
I've also heard that there's a big gray one that's seen quite often in the Columbia River Gorge, around Rooster Rock and in that area. And he's supposed to be a little bit mean, like bad tempered, from what I've heard.
I'm just hoping when I leave out tomorrow, I ain't gonna run into too much wind and all that crap when I get to your neck of the woods. Hey,
In Wyoming?
Punchy,
What?
I'm pulling over. Let's go for coffee. Oh, you gotta take a bed.
Is there wind in Wyoming? Are you kidding me?
Oh, that Laramie Valley is dangerous.
Yeah, it is.
75, 80 mile an hour winds, man.
Yeah.
I-
It's been blowing too. The last week or so, it's been blowing almost every day. Today wasn't too bad. The day before was really bad.
So where do you think Bigfoot has been spotted the most?
Huh?
Where do you think Bigfoot has been spotted the most?
Well, they avoid that weather. They hide out and go up between the higher and upper elevations.
I think Ohio has a lot of sightings. Of course,
Matter of fact,
California and Oregon and Washington have quite a few sightings too.
they
But
still
a
have
lot of
sightings
places on
in
the
Bluff
East
Creek,
Coast
but
still
it's not
have
as much as it used to be. The infamous T-Rex scream came from Ohio.
Yeah,
I
Ohio has a lot of
suggest
sightings.
nobody ever try sound blasting that one. You won't make it out of the woods, because you're basically blasting an alpha male blasting to another alpha male, and you won't like the results because you don't know what they're saying, what it's saying to the.
Interesting.
You just don't know. You know, it could be like their primitive language could be native, and you sound blast. Oh, this will be pretty cool to sound blast, but you really don't understand it. Years ago, Ron Moorhead tried to do that vocal. Lynn, I can't think of the name.
Yeah, British Columbia has a lot of sightings too, definitely.
Where they tried to decipher what they were saying, and nobody knows because it's on the edge of native and human. But they got their own language.
Oh yeah.
Or the samurai chatter. Just.
Oh yeah, they definitely talk to each other. I've heard it so many times from people that have seen them and heard them in the middle of the night. They're definitely talking to each other. They definitely have language. But I think that they have like say that their vocal cords have a wider range than ours do, so we couldn't even begin to imitate them.
Wow, Lindsay drove 12 hours to rehome those dogs so they wouldn't get euthanized. That's pretty cool.
Sorry. And turn off the lights.
Yeah, the samurai chatter, you can hear, and then Harriet at the Bigfoot Museum has a clip, a small 30-second to a minute clip of what sounds like a female and another Bigfoot having a conversation. It's just, it's very real fast pitch, and they can change the voice of their pitch of their voice too.
Yeah, and I've heard plenty of stories of people like out camping and hearing what sounds like kids playing in the forest. Talking.
I've heard that too.
Yeah.
And if you're camping in their neck of the woods, they'll come by and smack the tent. And if you really got a disgruntled one, they occasionally urinate on your tent.
Yeah.
I've heard people waking up and it sounds like rain and it's actually pissing on the tent. And there's actually some that has peeked. I've seen some pictures of actually them trying to peek into the tent. If you don't zip it up, they'll peek in the tent and all that.
Yeah, and I've heard of people laying in their sleeping bag and having like a hand pushing the tent and feeling the top of their head and stuff.
Yeah,
like, no
that's
thanks.
what happened. That's what happened to Keith Crabtree when he was up there in Montana, sleeping in the back of his pickup truck with the tailgate down. One came up to him and tickled his feet. And when I was at the Bigfoot conference, I said, "Hey, Duke," I said, "why don't we have a shirt called I got my feet tickled by Bigfoot or something?" And they laughed and cracked up about it. But that actually happened to him. The legend of Boggy Creek Monster himself, the Bigfoot tickled his feet up in Montana. Yeah, they'll slap the tent, come down and push it in on you, and they're pranksters. We're their entertainment. If you're camping out in the woods, we're their entertainment. I mean, really, they got nothing better to do all day. Make babies, take care of their family, than watch us idiots out there. I've never heard one aggressive report of anybody getting hit by rocks, but they'll start off with acorns to get your attention. If that don't get your attention, the rocks will get small and they'll get bigger and bigger and bigger up to the size of a softball.
Tickling feet. Okay.
I know there's at least one person watching that's thinking that we are out of our mindset.
We're out of our gourds. I'm originally from Southern California, Lindsay. I grew up there all my life until about 1998. Hey, Mom, you got about $400? I can go to truck driving school, and about 20 years later, here I am.
I mean, what if it was trying to give you a foot massage?
Well, I don't know about that. Now, I heard they stink. They stink like rotten dead meat.
I've heard some of them do and some don't.
Like
some people think that they have a gland that they can make themselves stink if they want to.
As a defense mechanism. Now, the females. Now, you're talking about trucking experiences. I smelled a pregnant female in my truck. A pregnant female Bigfoot.
Okay.
It was a sweet honeysuckle scent. And she was apparently letting me know she was pregnant. I somehow got adopted by a troop of Bigfoot up there in the Upper Peninsula in Michigan.
Heard the Kelly has the highest population of foot fetishes. Okay.
Yeah, that's the fishing village that's haunted by them 30-foot Bigfoot. That's the one that nobody dares to go visit or anything.
They abandoned it.
It's off limits, man.
Because they're hunters and stuff. The people that were out cutting wood and hunting and stuff, they were getting killed, and they'd find like the bodies with the heads missing and stuff.
Yeah, there was actually 5 guys up there on a hunting trip that wound up disappearing, but they fired every round of ammunition.
Yeah, and I've heard, they found some of them, they found their bodies, but the heads were gone and stuff like that. Yeah, so everybody that was left ended up leaving.
My interest for Bigfoot was the mind speak.
Yeah, that's kind of fascinating when you think about it, the mind speak.
Does that imply they're telepathic?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Interesting.
There again, that's some of them. Some of them aren't, and some are.
The rogue ones are the ones you got to watch out for. Now, the older males that got kicked out of the troop are the ones that can't fight. They can't fight no more. They got busted teeth from getting punched in the mouth too much. I've heard stories, but the rogue ones that got kicked out for being too violent, and the ones they got usually jumped by the bigger alpha males, along with the other 6, 7-footers that beat the crap out of them and basically made them leave. The rogue ones you got to watch out for. But there's the older ones will usually go for the roadkill too, like the dead deer that've been sitting there a couple of days, or the raccoon, or the possums that get run over by the trucks. They'll usually go for the easy kill because they ain't got nothing left for teeth to chew on.
Yeah.
Don't worry, Lindsay. I still got all my teeth. And I'm such giving her a bad time. I was roasting you pretty good at the beginning. What were you talking about? The chicken? No, I was talking about your legs. I smelled something burning.
Yeah.
That was fun, though. That's fun. Friends just being friends. And
I never really told anybody about my leg until after it was almost healed because I didn't want people to have everybody would have had a heart attack if they would have seen my leg when I first did it.
Hmm.
I mean, I didn't tell nobody about it because
yes,
it was
bad. I found
it
out
was really bad. Huh?
You hurt
I
your
found
leg?
out about it slowly but surely.
Yeah, I burned my leg, and
Oh, that's
from my knee to my ankle, and it was like about 6 inches wide all the way down my leg.
that's
Burned.
right.
There was no skin left, and it was bright red, and there was like gummed up skin on the sides, on both sides, that like turned to blisters after the second day. So I had like
I was
great
trying
big
to
water
tease her
blisters
about
all the way down the sides of the burn, and it was pretty
Oh,
nasty.
come on now. Don't go.
Nasty.
Trash Cat, I will disown you for that comment. I will disown you for that comment. I'm cutting you out of my will.
Oh, come on.
She don't like me. She doesn't like me.
At
She
least
just
you got
wants to
somebody
stand there and
interested
look
in
up here.
you. Nobody's interested in me. So.
I teased you pretty good for a while. I'm here for the blisters and the free skin. Hey, don't worry, Punchy. I burnt myself with the iron. Guys tried to electrocute me on one job by having them trying to hold the distributor cap and 12 amps shot up my arm. I was numb for about 20 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
I did that one time. I got in a fight with my ex-husband, and I ran out to the car because I was leaving, and he ran out behind me and raised the hood, and he got his hands on the distributor cap, so he was going to pull the distributor cap off I turned the motor over just as he got his hands good on the distributor cap. And yeah, it made him scream a little bit.
Oh, God.
Uh,
I mean, I burned myself plenty of times.
but no, this was like basic. It was pretty close to a 3rd-degree burn, and it was like big, and it was like all the way down to my ankle. And then when it started kind of healing, it was like the whole thing was just like one big scab. It was pretty ugly. It was pretty ugly. It took like about 6 weeks before I could put my pants on again. I mean, I absolutely couldn't even put pants on because it was
No, I
so
burnt myself. My mom and I were talking about it a couple nights ago. Somehow I went to call her and thank her for the birthday card, and we wound up talking about. You remember the time we was down at SeaWorld, and they had the what was that, Dennis, the America's Cup boat races down there. I mean, I completely burnt my head to where I had blisters, and I had to wear a cap from class in high school for 2 weeks. Because every time I take the hat off there, them damn scars and everything.
I mean, I've cinched my eyebrows off lighting the gas grill before.
Well, this was like there was no skin left on my leg. I actually like burned the skin right off of it. It was like raw meat with skin around the edges. It was pretty nasty. It was pretty nasty, Derek, and I didn't tell nobody how bad it was.
Mm.
Didn't tell nobody how bad it was till it was almost healed, and then I kind of let people know how bad it had been.
Now, my sister was accident prone when we were growing. I was always playing with Legos and building stuff in the floor and stuff. And here she comes. I don't know what she was thinking. She was doing gymnastics and went out a double pane window on the first floor. Not one scratch on her, but she tore out that whole window.
Hi, I don't know what to call you. I don't see a name.
He's got a little character from a game
I
called
can't. I don't
Among
know
Us.
who that is either. Your guess is good as mine.
Well, you're welcome to my stream. Sub if you haven't yet. Subscribe to my channel. We talk about all kinds of stuff tonight. We were talking about paranormal stuff. We're going to be going pretty soon, though, because I've been streaming for 3 hours and 9 minutes.
Wow.
He's sus, basically. is what they're
Trash
saying in
cat, at
the
least
game.
you ain't trying to get me and Lindsay to get married, you little turkey.
I don't know him, but he could be a bot.
Tarot cards. I don't know about tarot cards. I've heard that they can be they're kind of like using a Ouija board.
That's
You can be
like
inviting stuff
oracles.
in.
Now, there's a difference. There's a difference between what I did to Lindsay, or I shouldn't say did, but what I gave her a reading, and I was pretty much spot on. There's a difference between having that ability and using oracle or tarot cards, having some card tell you or something. That's like in the 1980s. Hey, call me at 3:00 in the morning. My name is Mrs. Cleo for $39.99. I'll tell you your future.
Yeah. But I was looking into getting some tarot cards for a while, but I was waiting to find the perfect ones for me. But then I started hearing that it can be bad to play with them. You can like open up portals and stuff if you mess around with tarot cards.
It's a different ball game.
Yeah. Well, guys,
Wow.
what do you think? Should we call it a night?
Yeah, I'm getting tired. I've had a long day.
Yeah, I'm getting tired too, but I gotta say that it was so much fun, Andrew, and we got to do it again sometime. Sometime when you're going to have a good night, let me know, and we'll do it again because I think we could do a lot more talking and still have a lot more fun.
Yeah, it was just
Whatever y'all want to do.
Lindsay, you want to get up here again and just stare at my beard? That's okay.
So thank you for very, very much for coming up tonight, Andrew. And like I say, we'll have to do it again one night.
Fun.
And thank you for coming up, Lindsay. And thank you for coming up, Derek.
Thanks for having me.
Yes, Shrimp Granny, I know you're gone, but I love seeing you.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, that was a lot of fun. And Trash Cat came up too, that's right. And thank you.
Yeah, she had that weird alien story staring
and
at her
thank
stuffed
you for
animals.
modding Grasshopper. And thank you everybody that came in. And thank you for modding Cat. And we shall see everybody probably Wednesday night, maybe Tuesday night. And then, like I say, we will have to have Andrew up again because this was a lot of fun tonight, I think. Did everybody enjoy themselves?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
I had a good time.
We will do it again. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. The time just flew by.
That was interesting.
Yeah,
even
3
though
hours, my gosh, man. The first 15 minutes seemed like 2 hours.
Yeah, it was interesting. I don't really go into all the paranormal and Bigfoot stuff, but it's interesting to hear.
Drake, Slender Man. Now that the 3 girls in Wisconsin, they just got out not long ago. The 2 other girls, they got out of prison.
that killed that girl.
Just to conjure that.
Slender Man told him to kill her.
He was originally folklore, but because of the Slender Man blew up so much punchy, they actually conjured up something as Slender Man.
Well, it's the same. It's the same way with the Black-Eyed Kids. They started out as a creepy pasta story, but it has spread so much that they seem to be a real thing now.
Hey, Craig.
Craig, hi. Okay, we're gonna go, and everybody have a good Memorial Day weekend. The rest of it.
Thanks.
You too. Bye, Punchy.
I'll
Don't
see
do
y'all
anything
later.
I wouldn't do. Don't name anything after me.
All right. See y'all.
Okay, good night, guys. Where's my button here? There we go. In the stream. Good night, everybody. Thanks for coming in.